stand together and fight this disease.
I come this way before, travel through the open door. Circumstances navigated the path, and life happened all so fast. No, it got lonely. Sometimes you see, I know we couldn't make it. Even when I'm offbeat, I still land on my feet, and nothing can shake me, cause I know my time. I never. This is where I am destined to be. I'm not ready to give up. I believe in the miracle of life. Life's a play for no rehearsal. Learn quickly, they'll come for your role. Games we play, can't take it personal, cause the devil is a liar. I'm telling you the truth. It's all in what you do. Some things you gotta do. It's fight for millions. Second, see the blessing in it. For much expected, much is given. Wanna make a living, now I'm giving back to children. Never let the power come first before your happiness. Yes, you can be the best if you go the distance. Mix a little sweat with your persistence. You know that the best things are never instant. Just shine up, let them see your brilliance. Get up, open up your eyes now. It's the moment of truth. No backing down. We're bringing it to life. Oh, for the children, it's a given. You gotta give it, be a blessing.
This my personal statement. Run the game like I'm aces. Learn and develop patience, determined to be the greatest. Yeah, bobbing and weaving, they changing up like the seasons. Indigenous to the grind, so I do it for all my people. Jabbing the competition, back up against the ropes. You fighting for recognition. I'm fighting just to promote equality where we lack it. While cancer slowing our road, I'm confident we'll make it. We focus on common goals. Yeah.
Give back, give love, give inside away. Never give up, stand tall to fight another day. 2 toes, 2 feet, I stand on the ground. I'm going back soon and fight this final round. Life's a fight for no rehearsal. Learn quickly, they'll come for your role. Games we play, can't take it personal, cause the devil is a liar. It's all in what you do. Some things you gotta.
Hey, what's up, Mark Wonderlick, Mad James? Appreciate you, Birdman, K Sims, KJ. What it do? KJ. What's up, James? What's up, Richie Rich? Appreciate you, Batman. What's up, K Dub? Yova D, Black Attack. Appreciate you, brother. Super Bros, Sean G. Ryan Jefferson, G. Brown, Regency Bias, man. I appreciate you coming in here early and often, man. TTT Podcast. Appreciate you, man. We're going to get to this trailer, and then we're just going to get on with the show. The guest is already in the building, but it's trailer time, man. Click the link in the comment section. Go ahead and watch 9 Wives. I said Malcolm alleged that some of Elijah's women were underage secretaries, and can you expound on that?
Yeah, I guess they were, because they were there. I seen them myself. It's all true.
Good evening, messenger. You convinced us that you were the last messenger. How many other bastard children do you have?
At least 15. And welcome to the show. The guest is already in the building, man. The real Rick Glazer on Twitter, the fire starter. What's up? How you feeling tonight?
Good, Fred. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this since you called me and asked me, and here I am in the flesh.
Let's fly, man. I appreciate you coming on here, man. It's cool to have you on here. You said it's freezing out there, man. I had a 76 degrees day today, man.
Freeway Rick Ross told me the same thing. So it's got me jealous. He was at the tennis lessons with his kids today, and so he had me a little jealous because I'm sitting in here in the cold and the COVID and everything else. It's warm in my home, but and my wife and I's home, but it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold out.
Yeah, and before we get started, you are a Bills fan, right? So the Bills are playing the Patriots.
Well, you live in Buffalo, you have to be, because what happens is we're a small town like Green Bay, and if you don't watch, we have nothing else here but really the Bills. Mm-hmm. So if you don't watch the Bills game, then all week long when you go out with your friends for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, mm-hmm. you get left out of the conversations. And to tell you the truth, this is one thing they do say: you didn't watch the Bills game. What were you doing?
Right.
Like that, like it's like bizarre. You know what? We're like in LA. There's so many things to do, so many sports teams, so much music, theater. It's a different area. You know, you got the ocean. We don't have much here.
Right. Rick James or Rick Glaser? Who's more popular?
He's legendary. You know, he's iconic. I knew Rick a little bit. I know his brother Leroy very well. His brother's name is Leroy Johnson, and his brother's an attorney. And I know Leroy very well. He's a very, very good guy. And, you know, I see him around occasionally, and I used to see him around more often before COVID, of course.
Mm-hmm. And another man who's from Buffalo, who makes a great marks in boxing, Al Heyman. He's from Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, he's from Cleveland.
Cleveland, but don't he have some type of ties in Buffalo? Didn't he grow up in Buffalo?
No.
He didn't? I thought Al Heyman grew up in Buffalo somehow, some way.
No.
No, I stand corrected then. So
Cleveland.
Yeah. How did Rick Glaser get into boxing? I researched you a little bit. You had a car dealership and things went awry with the car dealership.
No, actually I didn't have a car dealership. That was my father did actually before me. He passed away in 81. I was in the wholesale car business, and I was doing other things too, and that were illegal. And I was rolling back odometers on cars, loan sharking, extortion, gambling, and I got indicted in 89 by the federal government for racketeering. So the FBI all along had said something in my case that was false, and I knew it was false. I told my attorney, and he called the judge upon it. And what it was they said I was violent and dangerous and settled all disputes with violence. And I never did it, any such thing. I didn't have to. Never did. Never opened up my mouth. Never got heavy-handed with anybody. Didn't have to. So my lawyer went to the judge and said, hey, you know, this is false, and we know it to be false, and let's give the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office 90 days to come up with 3 victims that said that they were either bodily hurt or threatened by my client. And if they can't come up with 3, you give them a probation and a fine. And if you can come up with 3 and you're satisfied with those 3, I'll plead him to 5 years. Judge says that's a hell of a deal. Told the FBI and the U.S. to come up with the witnesses in 90 days. Well, the 90 days came. Not only couldn't they come up with 3 witnesses, not only couldn't they come up with 2, they couldn't come up with 1. Wow. 0. So that was in July of 1990. And then he brought us back for sentencing. He said in September, and he gave me a 5-year probation and a $50,000 fine.
Wow.
And what happened was the probation officer was a female, and she got heavy-handed with me. And I had never had any history of drug use. Matter of fact, I never even had a sip of alcohol over the years. Now, since then, since I got married, of course, I sip champagne with my wife, or she'll say, "Oh, taste a glass of wine," you know, a little wine. But I never have a glass, you know, I'll have a sip. So she was making me go down and urinate in the bottle once a week. I had to go 3 times a week, but urinate in the bottle once a week.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, we went back to court when she refused to stop, and we went to the federal judge, and the federal judge said to me, "Mr. Glazer, you've been robbing this community long enough. You got to give back. Do something to get you off going that right now. I'm going to tell you to go. You got to go once a month, but you got to come back a month from now and tell me what you're doing for the community. And I'll make it permanent once a month. Okay. I went down to the Police Athletic League where the boxing program was, introduced myself, and was there every day, 5 days a week, starting at 4 o'clock to 6:30, 2.5 hours a day. A couple of kids wanted to turn pro, and that was my way into boxing. I called up a boxing promoter in Erie, Pennsylvania, Mike Acree, who handled Roberto Duran, later Paul Spadafore, Hector Camacho. Mm-hmm. He died just a year ago this week, passed away. And I called him up, and the greatest line that he said he ever heard. So there was a kid in the gym that was an old pro, Roger Brown, and I wanted to train him for a fight coming up at Livingstone Bramble. And he says to me, Rick, I'm not familiar with your name. Who'd you ever train before? I says, no one, but you have to start somewhere. Well, he broke out laughing because most people call up with the con, the bullshit. Oh, they held the mitts for this guy. They worked this guy's corner, some bullshit.
Right.
I came with no bullshit. He loved it. Came to Buffalo to meet me about 6 weeks later, and got me in the business. And I had made a decision to go into the business in January 1st of '91. And I had started my inroad then, and I just celebrated or observed 31 years in the business full time.
Oh, congratulations. 31 years is a very long time. So my question is, did you get rid of the witnesses?
No, there were no witnesses. There were none. I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, because I know you're.
First of all, every customer I had that was a gambling customer, every single one was a doctor, a lawyer, a judge, and a CPA, homeowners, country club goers. They were the pillars of the community. Mm-hmm. Who needs to get heavy-handed with these people? They just pay you, right?
Wow.
Okay. And also because of the fact that if somebody got behind and their wife found out about it, or they were gambling or something, I would slow it down and just make me give him payments every week to catch till they caught up, So I never had to get heavy handed. As far as the loan charging goes, I really only gave the money to business people. In other words, it was short money with like inventory coming in, and that they didn't have the money to hold, to pay for it in cash. They were stable. I wasn't loaning money to fly by night people. So I never had to get heavy handed with anybody ever. Mm. So it was real smooth. And the only reason why I got caught was because I got too big. I had too many things going on. I had to go down to rollbacks, loan check. I had a crap game. I had a card game. I had a bookmaking, the football cards. I had it all. I just got too big, so I got caught. What can I say? You get too big, you get caught.
Right. Is that an extension of your affinity for Meyer Lansky?
No, I think that is because you read history and you see he's one of the smartest people of all time. And most people said over the years that knew him back in the day, if you read that, if he didn't go into a life of crime, he would have been a CEO of a major corporation and stuff like that. It's that thing, like, it's a very weird thing. He was a great leader of men. I mean, he's the one that invented the Mafia Commission, even. I mean, what can you say about the man? I mean, he was a genius. The odds in Las Vegas, a lot of them were set by him. In Cuba, when they had the gaming in Cuba till Castro threw everybody out. It was about Meyer Lansky, and he's a brilliant guy. That's all there is to it. There's nothing else you can say. I mean, Freeway Rick Ross, I'm finding out, is the same type of brilliant mind. That if he hadn't got into the drug business and he would have been educated, he would have been a CEO, COO type too. He's a brilliant guy. Yeah. I'm seeing that every day in him.
Yeah, totally. Since you've mentioned, well, let's go in chronological order. So when they do your documentary, they'll have it in and then we'll jump into current events. What was your first fight? First move in boxing? Was it?
I had done some small things in 1991 and early 92, but the first bigger promotion I was involved with directly was the Roberto Duran Tony Bigland fight in my hometown. We brought it here intentionally. And we brought it here on 3 weeks notice. There was a problem that we were going to do it somewhere else, and we decided at the last minute to bring it to Buffalo. And it was September 29th of 91, and it launched Roberto Duran's comeback, which led into the two Pazienza fights, the two Camacho fights, and so on. That started in 91 and it ended in 97, I think. I don't remember exactly, but I think 97.
Why is it free of passage for people who have who had a life of crime outside of boxing to segue into boxing?
Because the NFL, Major League Baseball, basketball, these sports and hockey, they don't allow you to come in as a convicted felon as an employee of the league or as an employee of a team. And because of the fact that boxing is easy to get into. In other words, a guy can afford to have 6 fighters, but he can't afford to buy a piece of the New York Yankees for $800 million. So that's another reason. So you can have a professional sports franchise for peanuts in boxing, where in football, or let's say the Yankees, let's say 1% of your team, the team's valued at like $6 billion, and you take 1%. I mean, it's astronomical what 1% would cost you. And it's a segment into a lot of people don't make money. They don't go into boxing to make money. They have another business, but they can use it as a tax write-off. They use it. A lot of people, to be honest with you, use it to get away from their wife. They're married. Seriously, married a long time. They're not going to get divorced, and they can go away with the fighters and go away for a week at a time and go to the training camp and do what they want to do. And they've got a good excuse to get away from the house. People go into boxing for multiple different reasons. It's not just money. I went in to make a living. Okay. Freeway's not going in to make a living. He's going into boxing because he owns a lot of businesses now, and he's attempting to create generational wealth for his 2 children who are only 8 and 10 years old. So by the time that they become adults, he's going to be in his mid-70s. So he's looking for generational wealth for his kids, not from boxing, but from all his enterprises total. It's not about him.
Right. Are you in favor of legislation taking over boxing, or no? Or you like it as the Wild Wild West?
I think if boxing people were involved, but they're not, they would put politicians in. If you took 5 boxing people, let's say an overseer, and then 1 person for each region of the country, the North, the West, the South, the East, all that, I would be in favor of it, and have those people like a board of directors too. But they wouldn't do that. They would put political hacks in, don't know anything about boxing, and out of self-preservation, not about the sport, not about the fighters, and I have a problem with that.
Right. And Don King, I heard you on Coach Malachi Williams. You talk to him a couple times a week.
Sometimes 3 times a day. It just depends what day. But I average probably 4 times a week, anyways. Yes, I do.
How did that relationship begin?
I got in 1992, shortly after in boxing. I called Carl King for business, his son, who was managing a lot of fighters at the time, and I asked him if we could do some business. He says, "How can we do business?" And I told him that I supply opponents, sparring partners, who I always need good sparring partners. So the first time I did sparring partners, I brought him 8 sparring partners, ranging from featherweights to lightweights to heavyweights, and we were off and running together. That was 1992, and then Don was always trying to push. Carl's always trying to push Don to hire me, but the employees there never liked me because I'm too strong of a horse, and I don't, I'm not going to take orders from people like that. I only take orders from people that I respect, not nitwits. So what basically happened was that I got introduced to Don physically one day, and we hit it off really well. And the next thing you know is I became his go-to guy from between 2003 to 2016. The only reason why it stopped was because I had cancer and I couldn't travel for 32 months. I was literally on my deathbed. The doctors told my wife to start making arrangements and things like, did you start making arrangements yet? Please do. You know, they said I was coming out of there on a slab, and I survived it, you know. And by the time I got out of my funk in 2019, the resulting from the cancer took chemo for 32 months from let's see, it was October 3rd of 2016 to April 3rd of 2019, and I actually stopped the week before, but it took a week to get the test back. It didn't run all the tests. I was clean and clear. And then by the time I got back in, Don was not Don King anymore, as we knew. And he was, he was just slowed down and stuff like that. And I still help him, but it's a one-on-one basis where he'll call me and ask me a question, or I'll help him solve a problem, but I'm not going on the road for him anymore, or signing fighters up, or negotiating deals or anything like that anymore for him.
And I was reading on y'all relationship. How were you able to navigate the contracts in favor of Don King? Like, how were you able to pull a fighter from a promoter and align him with Don King?
I didn't really pull them from promoters. They were either the contracts were expired, invalid, or something was wrong with them. Number one. One kid filed bankruptcy, and Dino Duva, who was his promoter, and the federal court released him from Dino's contract, so we picked him up. Just a lot of ways. I'm the kind of guy that, besides the top attorneys in this business, I can read a boxing agreement, whether it's a promotional, a management, or option agreement, as well as anybody in the business. And I take great pride in that. I keep up with the times, the changing laws at times that the federal government has passed with boxing, with the Ali Act, and just in general, I keep up with it. And I'm always reading legal cases, from the past, from the current, and stuff like that. And I just it's a knack that I have, and I incorporate it in my daily business very strongly.
Right. Are you familiar with today's contracts?
Absolutely.
How would a top rank contract look?
The Don King contracts and the top rank all the top promoters have basically the same contract. Okay. They may have different wording in it, but it's the basic contract. It's an exclusive agreement where they cannot fight for anybody else without that promoter's permission. It sets minimum guidelines for purses for sometimes certain networks or certain situations like pay-per-view, regular cable, premium cable. It may, and it also may set minimums. Sets minimums per bout, and also if you lose, what happens if you lose? So in other words, let's say you're a champion and you lose your title, your comeback fight would be for X amount of dollars minimum and all that kind of stuff.
Got you. So
just to let you know, a typical promotional agreement, a promoter fighter agreement is 18 pages.
18 pages. And what's the typical breakdown in terms of managerial, promotion, trainer?
Well, if you relate boxing to the mafia, okay?
Yes.
The promoter would be the promoter would be the boss.
Yes.
Okay. The underboss would be his employees. Okay. The consigliere would be the matchmaker. Okay. The managers would be like under a capo, let's just say, for instance, and then the fighter would be like an associate, if you look at it like the mafia. But in reality, the promoter and the manager is supposed to get the most amount of money for his fighter for the least amount of risk. And the promoter is trying to pay him the least amount of money for the best fight. So that's supposed to be a bucking. It's supposed to be two rams bucking. The problem is, okay, that what comes to pass is the promoters and the managers get too friendly because the manager has a lot of fighters with that promoter, and the promoter is now dictating to the manager because he says, listen, you take this for this fight for this guy, and I'll put your 4 guys on this undercard fight. You don't have to come back 2 weeks later to another show, another show we're doing. And for those 2 guys, we'll put all your guys on the undercard. So you don't have to come back in 2 weeks and another 2 weeks for another show. So there's so many ways to do it where the manager almost becomes at times a lackey for the promoter.
How honest would you say Bob Arum and Don King were or are?
A lot more honest than you think they are. Okay, and both of them. And I'll tell you the reason why. Don's been sued many times. Don't get me wrong. Okay, but Don's fighters have made millions and millions of dollars. They blew their money. Don did not take their money. That's a fallacy. Okay, complete fallacy. First of all, we have a state boxing commission. Okay, whatever on that contract that fighter's getting, that's the law. It goes into the fighter's hands. Then he pays his own people. But this is what happens in a Don King deal, typically. Okay, and I say typically in the sense that it's sad, but it's true. So a fighter is supposed to get $1.5 million for a fight. Okay, now let's use $1 million. It's an easy figure to use. $1 million, right? And his management and his trainers and everybody's supposed to get 40%, right? So the fighter comes to Don. I'm sorry. Don says to the fighter, "I'll give you $1.5 million." No, I want 1.75. No, I'm going to give you $1.5 million, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 500,000 right now if you take $1.5 million. Well, the guy's going to walk out of his office without throwing a punch with 500,000 in his check, and Don will take him to the. Don will have one of the employees take him to the bank, literally. Okay, so what happens is everybody on that contract for 40% total. That's the trainers, that's the managers, and everybody. They got to get paid off the $1.5 million. They don't get paid off the depreciated line of $1 million. It's not 400,000. Okay, there's another. If you take 500,000 at 40%, that's another $240,000 there. So all of a sudden, you take the 240 out. You take the other $400,000 out. They have to repay Don back. The guy doesn't walk away with a whole hell of a lot of money. Okay, and that's the problem with these deals, and that's why Don got this reputation of, quote, robbing fighters. There was very few fights. Let me tell you the Mike Tyson story. Okay, Mike Tyson and Don King handled $1 billion. Now remember what years this was. $1 billion from 1986 to 1997, and you got to take out the years Don was in. Mike was out of action, which was about 4 years for the prison and leading up to the prison sentence and getting back in the ring, right? So over that period of time, they handled $1 billion. You know how much was actually missing?
How much?
14 million. Okay, $14 million. Now, do you know what percentage that is of $1 billion? That's 0.00014.
Yeah, 1.4.
Okay, you really think that Don King robbed Mike Tyson out of $14 million, or do you really believe that it got lost in the shuffle? Because I know it got lost in the shuffle. Mike coming to see Don in Ohio, and Mike's in the camp, and Don's down the street in Windsor at his estate. Oh, I need 200,000 wired to my baby's mama, or this girl somewhere that he promised, or some other thing that he promised. Or when he brought him, when he got out of prison, he took him to the Versace shop. He spent $250,000 in Versace at the Caesar's Palace at the Forum Shops. Don fronted that money. Okay, and the list goes on and on. Okay, and this is where the 14 million was quote missing, but Don didn't have any proof of that. That was the problem. All the other claims he had proof of it. He didn't have proof. That was like miscellaneous money, 200,000. When you're Don King, 200,000 is miscellaneous. The problem is it added up over a bunch of years to 14 million. Okay, so Don did wrong in some cases. Mike Tyson wasn't one of them.
how were these numbers verified? The $1 billion, if
it was in the lawsuit. It was in the not in the lawsuit. It was the other way. It was that they proved that they grossed $1 billion, and it was money. It was the 14 million, because they tried to sue for punitive damages too, figuring 14 million times 3. Okay, but it didn't stick. So Don settled out of court for the 14 million. It was declared there was 14 million missing, but 14 million amongst $1 billion amongst those two guys, that's not. It sounds like a lot of money to Fred and Rick, but it ain't a lot of money to Don and Mike at that time.
Right. Is the goal of a promoter to keep the fighter always in need of the promoter? Because I see that, and as I've gotten older and look back at like the relationship between Don King and Mike Tyson.
Not really. Going back to you said about Bob and Don. You asked about Don and Bob. We just finished with Don. Let me go to Bob.
Okay.
I've had nothing but exemplary business dealings with Bob, Top Rank, and their top employees since 1993. Okay. When they owe you money back in the day, they used to send you a FedEx, overnight delivery by 10:30 in the morning. These days that they'll send you a check in regular mail, or they'll wire you the money, whatever you want to do. They're a fantastic organization. Here's the big difference. Here's the big differences between Bob and Don. Don puts himself in front of the fighters. He never lets the fighters get bigger than him. He's out in front of the camera, where Bob is next to the fighter, behind the fighter at an angle. Okay. But Don runs his company like the Wild Wild West, and Bob runs his company as corporate America, where you have 7 officers. You have a C. Bob's the chairman. You got Todd DeBuff is the president. You have Brad Jacobs, the COO. You've got, you've got a head of each department, finance, the legal department. You have a boss in every department. And it's run like corporate America. Bob's much more organized in that way. Another thing is, big difference between Bob and Don is Don threatens you with cash. Bob would never do that. So in other words, Don will say to the guy that wants $1,750,000, you take $1.5 million right now, and I'll give you walk out of here with $500,000, and I'll take you right to the bank. Right? Bob would never do that. Bob would never ever do that. I've never seen him do it, never heard him do it, and Bob doesn't operate that way.
So how would Bob Arum negotiate a deal? Like you say,
just standard operating procedure, like as in the rules of general business. You come to conclusion, what would you like? Let's do this, and this, and you come to an agreement, and the guy's off and running, and Bob's down on to the next deal. Their whole state of mind is completely different. And when it comes to the nuances of boxing, the how business is conducted, they're opposite. The end result has been wonderful for both, but they got there in different modus of operandi.
Right. So you use Don King as the Wild Wild West, and you use
no, company wise.
Yeah, company
not Don himself. Company wise. Yeah, DKP is a company. Yes, and Bob. And Bob runs his company's corporate America. Listen, my business dealings with both, with Don directly, has been fantastic, and with Bob and his top employees, his top executives, including great guys like Bruce Trampler and Bob Arum. Bruce Trampler and Brad Goodman have been exemplary over the years. Their word is their bond. Yeah, they're just fantastic people to do business with. The whole company is. They're the PR guy. He's a boxing historian. He knows everything about boxing itself. And most PR guys don't know shit about boxing. They're just to know about branding and advertising and marketing. And this guy knows about, and his name was Evan Korn. And he's in charge of the PR department. He's the director of PR. So, you've got a real well-oiled machine there. There's not even a question about that. And that's one of the reasons I ended up with the ESPN on Disney agreement for 7 years is because they can rely on Top Rank.
I understand. I get, and I get that from Bob. You understand? I like even when I interview him, I tell everybody when I interview Bob, it's like two guys going into the bank vault together. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like he understands what's going on. I understand what's going on. He's not gonna say too much. Whatever he gives you is what he wants to give you. And it is Bob Arum a literal business guy? These are the logistics and this is the answer.
Listen, Bob was a lawyer in the U.S. Attorney's Office and the what do they call that? The federal, the Justice Department.
Yes.
And in New York City, he was a tax lawyer. He was investigating the profits from the Ali fights that were closed circuit and stuff like that. Right. He saw how much money was in the business and got in the business. Now, if he didn't do that, he would have been a managing partner of a mega law firm in New York. He would have been CEO of a major corporation. He's a brilliant guy. He's a Harvard graduated, educated lawyer. I mean, everything this guy touches turns to gold. So, I mean, you can't shake it with a stick. Don, he had a rough and tumble upbringing, served a little time in prison, came out gangbusters, and he says only in America. I mean, he rose from the despair of his youth and to his early adult years to becoming an iconic figure in American culture,
right?
If not the world culture. I know. I saw a video once of him getting off a plane in Frankfurt, Germany. Might have been Berlin. No, it was Berlin. I'm sorry. And he was mobbed by people, and they weren't Americans either. I could tell by the clothes they were wearing. They had those Persian hats, and it was dead of the winter. And these guys are iconic figures. And one of the things that have always impressed me about Bob, about Don, it's impressing me about Freeway Rick Ross. They always have time to talk to people and give them the time to talk to people. I've been out in front of some of the best hotels in New York City, and the bums will come along, and I usually hate to use that word, but the homeless, okay? And Don will sit there and give them $100, like nothing. They don't even know the people. Here, 100. And all of a sudden, $2,000 is gone. I said, Don, I wish I could get money out of you that easy.
Yeah.
So that's Don.
How much money has Don King made gross? Not in terms of like, how much would you say?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I would say in the billions.
Yeah, for sure in the billions.
The billions. Well, 1 billion with one fighter.
Yeah, that's
he grows. Right. Yeah, billions. I mean,
right.
There's no time. And Bob's done that kind of business too. But the difference between Bob and Don is that Bob is about the event, Don's about himself. Okay, Don will get on the talk shows in the old days on Johnny Carson, Jimmy Kimmel, all those shows, and Bob's not like that. Bob's more down to earth, and Bob's a little different, than Don in that regard, But they're both. I have nothing but respect for both guys, and you can't judge how big and how well they reshaped the boxing business from where they entered it one in 66 and one in 72. It's amazing.
Have you done business with Donald Trump?
Yeah, I actually have on one occasion in God, what year was it? I'm trying to think. It was 1996, early 97, like February of 97. I was on the phone with him. I was told to call him about this deal we have for tickets, and I knew somebody that was in the Trump organization, and he had the Trump hotels at the time, and it was for the what fight was it? Okay, Sugar Ray Leonard and Macho Camacho. And I sold them $1,250,000 worth of tickets for $1 million. Okay, I did it for the promoter. I didn't do it for myself. Let me make that clear. I was working for a promoter on the show. So
how many tickets was that?
I have no idea. They were all best seats.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, they were all the best. They were in the three best sections. So yeah.
Facts. And you actually had Hector Camacho, correct?
I was the matchmaker. His promoter was Mike Akery, and I was his matchmaker from 94 to 99.
And you had him.
I'm sorry.
No, continue, please.
Yeah, that was Hector's. Well, now Hector Senior, because it was Junior after that. But 94 to 99, it was 5 years that we had. We worked for Hector. I was the matchmaker, and Mike was the promoter.
And you had a good, close relationship with Hector Macho Camacho.
Yeah, pretty good. We used to eat together. When we used to eat together. All the Spanish guys. I worked for Roberto Duran from 92 to 97. All the those guys, Hector Camacho, Duran, they all call me El Gordo, which means the fat guy in Spanish. And I'm portly. I'm short. I'm only 5'8.5". I'm 40 pounds overweight. So those guys are in shape. Everybody looks thin. So the guy standing next to him looks like the fat guy, no matter if you look normal or not. So
right.
They call me El Gordo. But it was all good. I got along with both of them very well. Never had any problem with him. One time Duran got mad at me because I put a guy in, I saw a film of the guy, and the guy walked forward every fight, but he was fighting bums. He got in with Duran, or Sean Fitzgerald from Massachusetts. He ran around the ring for the first 6 rounds, so Duran caught up with him in the 6th, finally. And I didn't go to the fight. I had another conflict in my schedule, so I didn't go to the fight. Duran called me up from the limousine after, wanted to kill me. It basically said in broken English, "If you were here right now, I'd kill you." So there you go.
Oh, because you matchmake that fight.
Yeah,
he didn't want.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it was the right guy. The guy just was so scared. He was running around the ring at a high rate of speed. So
who was Roberto Duran? Who was he outside the ring? Was he a party goer?
So much fun. He was so much fun. Yes. He was so much fun outside the ring. I mean, so much fun. He was just fun to be around. We took him to places eating buffalo, and he's eating spaghetti and meatballs with his hands, and they were trying to show him you eat it with a fork. No. And he's just a lot of fun. He runs around signing autographs, and he's a lot of fun. He's a pleasure in reality. Even when it comes to the money part of it, he was a pleasure. He wasn't tough. Wasn't hardcore to do business with. Neither was Camacho. They were both great outside the ring. Hector was a little more mischievous, running off for a week at a time where you couldn't find him. He would return calls and stuff like that. But we'll leave that alone.
Oh, will we? Because I wanted to go there. That was a setup.
Go there.
Man, we got a lot of New York people in here. I was born in New York, so
he disappeared for a week at a time. He did it in Florida I don't know what year that was. 97 maybe. He disappeared for a week with Frankie Randall, and I was babysitting Frankie Randall. He was my fighter at the time. I don't know. They just disappeared for a week. So I'll leave it at that.
How bad was his substance abuse problem?
Hector?
And how much?
He was always able to drive and function. He wasn't like unable to drive and not function. And when I say drive, I don't mean just get behind the wheel. I mean, he drove straight. You know what I mean? Not like he was screwed up. And he led a functioning life, even though he did have a bit of a problem. No question about it. And that's, I'm not talking out of school. It's well documented.
Yeah. How much you think played upon his career? Like how much did it take off? You always say the back nine. I hear you describe a lot of fighters in terms of back nine. How much?
Not as much. Most people would be a lot more. It didn't affect them that much. I don't know why, but this is one thing that was weird about him. Okay, not weird, but strange. So once you got him in the camp, the guy would train like a mad dog. He wouldn't disappear. He would disappear in between fights before he's scheduled to go to camp. But once he went to camp, he was there for a reason. He knew I was there.
Got it. And build up the De La Hoya fight. I now live in Los Angeles in '97. I am a sophomore in college. Can you take us behind the scenes of that promotion? And ironically enough, I didn't know that was his only pay-per-view fight.
Who?
Hector? Yeah.
Hector? Yeah. No, he was on other pay-per-views. Yeah, the Duran fights were pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, excuse me.
Pazienza fights were pay-per-view. There was a lot of fights of his. A lot of fights of his were pay-per-views. I don't know where you got that from, but
take us behind the scenes of that promotion.
Oh, I'm sorry. You meant Camacho's pay-per-views. Yeah, the two Duran fights were pay-per-view. There was quite a few other.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about Duran. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There was nothing to take behind the scenes. He was on the back nine.
Yeah.
And he went down with body shots. I mean, he's lucky to survive the fight, but he was what he was at that point. He was a high priced B-side for $4 million.
Mm-hmm. How much of it? Wow, $4 million. How much of an impact do you think he had on the sport of boxing in terms of ring entrances and showmanship and when you see a man like Adrian Broner, Floyd Mayweather?
I think he had a big effect in three areas. First of all, he definitely had a big effect in costume and ring entrances, those two different areas. Okay. 3, the showmanship part. Okay. Definitely a lot, just as general as personality. And women considered him really, really good looking, like cute. Like I would be with women at fights that I wouldn't take them with me, but I would meet them there or their employees. And I would say, hey, I meet them at the local restaurant. Oh, here's a comp ticket, comes to the fight, some waitress or something. And everybody thought, oh, is he cute? He's adorable. I mean, how many times do you get that in a fighter? Not too often.
Right.
Great personality. Like I said, a lot of fun. Like I said, the only negativity was that in between the fights that he would disappear because of a substance abuse problem.
Right. And where do you think, do you think like the drug abuse, and we'll move forward after this, like, because he had to survive a lot. I remember him as a fighter having to move around. I haven't watched a Camacho fight in a while, but I remember he didn't get a lot of knockouts. Do you think that the substance abuse or do you think he was overrated, but his entertainment value?
No, I think you're confusing his errors. When he was a 30 and 35 pounder, he could punch. When he got to 40, 47, and 54, he couldn't punch anymore. As he was a small guy hitting big guys.
Right.
But when he was at his prime and with the speed generating a lot of power at 30 and 35, he could punch. I mean, he was knocking guys dead, especially at 30.
So he wasn't overrated. Camacho wasn't overrated.
No. He was an excellent fighter. Or definitely Hall of Fame worthy. Got in, I believe, the first year he was eligible, and he was definitely an all-time great fighter, especially at 130 pounds.
How about De La Hoya? Do you think De La Hoya was overrated?
No, fought everybody. Never ducked a fighter. Bob Arum said to him one day, "Okay, if you want to make this, then you got to fight." And he said, "I got to fight." So there you go.
Appreciate you, brother Cole. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, let's jump into today's news, man. Breaking news today. Terrence Crawford is a racial defamation suit against Bob Arum.
Right. Well, let me put it this way to you. Okay.
Yes.
I know you didn't know it was coming because nobody did. Okay. So, and I didn't know it was coming. Nobody did. Right.
Yeah.
So when you called me last week to come tonight, your timing couldn't have been any better. Fred hits a homer on that one.
Yeah, I know.
What do I think? Okay. This is what I think. Okay. I think Terrence is way off base. Okay. Completely off base. I'm not going to sit here and defend Bob. Okay. Just because he's Bob Arum, I'm going to tell you the facts. Promoted some of the greatest black fighters of all time: Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, James Toney. The list goes on. George Foreman, John Tate wasn't a great fighter. He happened to be champion at the time. Leon Spinks. I know Leon. I'm not sure about Michael. I shouldn't say Michael, but I know Leon. And in the meantime is Floyd Mayweather, Diego Corrales, a lot of black fighters. And, you hear the public outroar today. Foreman came out already. Antonio Leonard, the promoter of, I think, 14 or 15 fighters that Top Rank promotes. He came out that Bob's not a racist. Tim Bradley's going to come out, maybe probably Andre Ward. The list is going to go, James Prince. The list is going to go on and on. Bob's not a racist. Bob was an equal opportunity guy, and he treats everybody well. One of the things you've noticed about Bob is Bob's there for the first 4 rounder of the evening that starts at 6 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, whatever time. He sits there through the whole show and he watches every one of his guys. And Bob takes pride in that. Okay. Bob treats everybody equally. He treats a 4-round fighter like they're a world champ. Okay. So it's very unusual. Okay. I mean, Bob's the first to, when one of his guys scores a nice win on an undercard bout with a nice knockout, he'll get right up and go over to him and hug him and, pat him on the back. He does what he's a real person. I mean, Bob's good that way.
So where do you think Terrence Crawford gets the allegations from? And part two, why? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right away. I'm sorry.
No, I just want the layer of the question. And two, why does Bob get labeled as a racist?
Because they're comparing him to Al Heyman, who's a black promoter. So they're going to paint Bob automatically black, but especially the LBDCers, the Heymanites, the Agenda Crew, the Weilerettes, and the Earl Sexuals. Did I get them all? Did I get them all correct?
I mean, I don't know the street names, but I don't know, but I'm willing to bet that, and we'll get there too. We'll get there down the line.
There's nothing. Listen, I've been painted a racist. Okay, yeah. I mean, on social media by these groups. Okay, and. Okay, if you want me to go down my list of accomplishments in the black community, I will. I'm married to a black woman. Best man at my wedding was black. Don King's like a father to me. Okay, my lawyer till he passed away was black. Okay, the list goes on and on. Every year at Christmas and New Year's, I donate. It's now up to $600. 10 families each. Black and Hispanic families in the community with non-supporting spouses for people with kids. I give them the gift certificates to the high class grocery store called Wegmans here. $60 a family for both Christmas and Thanksgiving. I was doing it before I met my wife. My wife had me up it from 50 to 60 because of inflation. But I've done everything I'm supposed to do as a human being. And I just, they say, well, just because you have you're married to a black woman doesn't mean you're not racist. Just because you have a black friend. Well, it goes beyond that, everybody. It goes way beyond that. And I'm sick of getting painted a racist. There's nothing racist about me. I mean, I talked to Derek Harmon today from Top Rank, and I've known Derek since 1994. When he's a black man, he fought Roy Jones for the light heavyweight championship of the world. He now works at Top Rank, and I says, Derek, these people paint me as a racist. He says, Rick, I've known you since 1994. I never detected any racism in you at all. So, I mean, these are things that. I don't. You just don't know how to combat them, overcome it. It's a funny thing, A guy said I was a racist one day because I told him I favored Crawford over Spence in a fight. Well, the last time I looked at them, they're both black. So where does this come from? It's because one guy fights for Arum and one guy fights for Heyman. My dislike of Heyman was personal back in 2001, 2002 when he was working with when he was nobody in boxing, and he was working with Vernon Forrest, and I brokered a deal with them between my old friend, now my arch enemy, Lou DiBella, and Al Heyman. And Al Heyman was mad at me because I couldn't work something out with the IBF that was impossible, that he asked me to do. And I told those two that it's not going to happen. And Lou DiBella told me, just try. I said, okay, but it's not going to happen. Well, sure enough, it didn't happen, and I get blamed for it. Okay, like it was my fault. By Al Heyman, by the way. I mean, never thanked me after the fight when I was right. I told him that Verner would beat Shane Mosley easy. He did. He knocked him down multiple times, and he won the rematch.
Mm-hmm.
And then he never thanked me after the fight. We went to dinner after, a whole bunch of us. Never thanked me, never said hello to me, nothing. So what? You know what? All the things he's done that's hurt boxing over the last bunch of years, I'm very vocal about it, and I'm very truthful about it. If he was when the PBC puts on a good fight, I'll even say, PBC put on a great fight tonight. It'll happen occasionally.
It'll happen occasionally. I appreciate you, Jay Gibson. I appreciate you for the support. So you versus Al Heyman is personal.
Well, it started out as personal years ago, but to me, he was just a nobody in boxing at the time. Whether he became a somebody or not, it's not going to change my opinion. I mean, I've got mad at Don King and told him shit in his hat. Okay, Bob Arum and I had a big beef 2 years ago about him that I didn't know what I was talking about. All of a sudden, with the pay-per-view number, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yo, sure I don't. Everybody gets their pay-per-view numbers from me. So, and everybody's told me. Don King told me over the years, the top-ranked employees have told me how accurate my pay-per-view. Everybody's told me. Right. Oscar's told me himself how accurate my pay-per-view numbers are. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'll tell you a funny story today that just happened today. You'll get a kick out of.
Yeah.
So, Freeway and I were doing an interview with CBS LA today, and he was on for 45 minutes, but I watched him, and then I was on for a separate 45 minutes, and they're going to piece the two of them together and do a story about Freeway, right? Yeah. I get on the thing, and the guy says, Rick Glazer, he says, I know who you are. You're the guy with the great pay-per-view numbers. This is the guy from CBS LA. I said, well, how do you know that? I'm a boxing fan. I know you know the pay-per-view numbers.
No.
So there you go.
And you mentioned Derek Harmon's name. He rarely gets any mention or any credit. I want to personally credit Derek.
He's one of the classiest guys I know. And he's a gentleman. He's I had a line about Derek Harmon one time back a few years ago. Okay. And I said, I had a great line. You really like it. I says, if anybody doesn't like Derek Harmon, they're wrong. It isn't Derek.
Yeah. He's one of the reasons why I have a relationship with Bob Arum, because I mean, he would see the black media guy. He would let me interview Bob and yell at Bob and yell at Bob and yell at Bob. And he would just sit there. Well, I know who he is. I'm not going to challenge Bob. But the fact that he would let me, he would be gracious enough, honestly, move over a seat, because
Derek is unbelievable guy. I wish I was closer to Derek than I am. I like him so much, but we're friendly. But every time I go out to Vegas, or on the road, he's eating with Bob, I'm eating with other guys, and we just don't. But it's always a pleasure to see Derek and talk to him. It's a great pleasure.
Right. So you said Al Heyman is doing bad things for boxing.
No, not for boxing. Bad things against boxing.
Oh, against it. Elaborate.
Yeah. Right. Everything. Bad matches, putting fights on pay-per-view that don't warrant pay-per-view. Some of them barely warrant regular TV. I mean, who asked for Charles Martin and Luis Ortiz, let alone to be on pay-per-view? Nobody asked for that fight. What was the public demand for that fight? Did you want to see that fight? Nobody wanted to see that fight. There's no reason for that fight. I mean, why? I mean, nobody wants to see this stuff. Here's another example. They go and put Tank Davis on a Sunday night against NFL football. Not only NFL football, Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. What were they thinking? Then Ellerby is telling what a great pay-per-view star, huge attraction this guy is. And in the meantime they put him up. Leonard, just come clean. It did 52,000 homes. Don't call me a liar. Blame yourself and Floyd for thinking of and Espinoza for putting this thing on a Sunday night against NFL football. It's insanity. And then on January 1st, Heyman comes up with the Ortiz Martin fight against college football. Okay. And the biggest bowl day of the year, the 6 bowl games, whatever it is, and on a fight that shouldn't even pay-per-view. Now they have Keith Thurman and Mario Barros. Okay. Both guys lost their last fight, one by knockout, and the other one has been inactive for 2.5 years, almost 3 years by the time they get into the ring. Guess what? That isn't pay-per-view. Pay-per-view should be reserved for the mega fights, the biggest and best fights. Examples: the 3 Fury and Wilder fights, that should be pay-per-view. Porter versus Crawford versus Porter was barely pay-per-view. Okay, barely. And only because it was Crawford's best challenger at 147 pounds. He's undefeated. The other guy was the mandatory, so it had mystique to it and prestige to it. But if he was just a regular challenger and wasn't number 1, that was not a pay-per-view fight. So that was borderline pay-per-view. So, I mean, pay-per-view is supposed to be about the biggest and the best, not this direct that he's putting on. I mean, Wilder, to me, Luis Ortiz and Charles Martin was free Fox on a Saturday night. Free Fox, not pay-per-view. They would have gotten 3 million viewers on free cable. Guess what? Didn't do shit. Bit the bullet.
How many buys would you say? 10,000, 15,000?
No, it did under 25,000, in between 20 and 25. It didn't do that bad, but it did bad. Because remember, it's only $39.95, so it's only returning $24 to the promoter.
Mm-hmm.
Not a hell of a lot. $600,000 gross is not a hell of a lot when you got a $3.5 million show and there's not a lot of people there either.
What else is he doing bad? He
doesn't have the fighters fight each other. I mean, he keeps putting them with so many patty cakes. It's unbelievable. I mean, the best is not fighting the best.
Sure.
I mean, every fight's a weak link with him, and it's not what boxing's about. It's just not what. But the only time he puts on good fights when it's a mandatory with somebody else's fighter, okay, or one of his own fighters if it's a mandatory. Okay, or it's by accident. That's it. I mean, he doesn't go into it. This is going to be a great fight. The guys at Top Rank, they're barnstorming to put great fights together. Guys at Oscar with Oscar, they're barnstorming to put. Over there in England, several of the promoters, they're barnstorming to put great fights together. Not this guy. Just I mean, you can protect a few ticket sellers. Guy's got to fight. You tell us Spence is so great, Charlos are so great, put him in. Sure. What are you waiting for?
And do you think that before we jump back, how impactful or negatively or positively will this impact Crawford's career as it pertains to his lawsuit? We jumped forward.
Well, I tell you why he's got a real issue. Okay, this is a serious issue. Okay. There's no money to pay Terrence Crawford for these fights. He's not a pay-per-view attraction. So somebody's got to say, Eddie Hearn already come out and say, I don't want him. I have nobody to fight him. He's not going to put Conor Benn in with him. Conor Benn's a huge attraction. Crawford would beat him at this point. Maybe 2 years from now, it'll be different. One's 36 and one's getting better. One's getting worse. Okay. Who's going to pay him $6 million? That precedent was already set. With the Porter fight, you think he's going to go back to $4.5 million, $5 million? I don't think so. Even if he went for $5 million, who's gonna pay it?
Right.
Tim Smith already said we can't afford him. Nobody can afford him but Arum, and now we made an enemy with Arum. It's sort of comical.
Right.
Oscar can't afford him. Who can afford him? If he was a pay-per-view draw, then that's a different story. Then you can do pay-per-view shows separate from your regular shows, and everything's hunky-dory. But you can't do pay-per-view.
he would still be on Top Rank if he was a big pay-per-view attraction.
Thank you.
Right? You get
Thank
what
you.
I'm saying? You
Thank you.
understand what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens with in your greatest opinion, being that based upon what you say, Terrence Crawford, no one can afford to pay him, and Al Heyman doesn't want to put
I don't know.
fight.
That's why I just said he put himself. Listen, the Josh Taylor fight was out there for him, and now he put himself in a pickle with Arum, and Arum's got Josh Taylor. So, and Arum would have made that fight. Now I don't know how Arum feels, but he can't feel too good about Terrence Crawford after be called a racist.
Right. And what happens to Terrence Crawford's stable? Because you got Stevie Stone Cold Nelson and a few other.
Well, I don't think those guys are going to be affected. I don't think Arum's not going to hold that against guys that are innocent bystanders, collateral damage because of what Terrence is doing. Bob's not that kind of guy. Steve Nelson's a good kid, nice kid. He'll stand on his own 2 feet with Bob. I'm very confident of it.
But I saw how he's moving against Eddie Hearn. He loves sticking at the Eddie Hearn in terms of the business. You know, he got Dillian White in an 80-20, 80-20 deal. And
well, listen, that's not Eddie Hearn. That's just anybody. That's business.
Okay, got you.
That's business.
Jay Gibson says Crawford was signed longer than Fury.
What's that? Crawford signed longer than Fury, but it's money for Fury. The reason for that is, okay, so let me give that. What's that person's name? I'm going to give him Jay. I'm going to give Jay an economics lesson on boxing, economics 101. Fury brings in huge foreign TV revenues from the UK. He just did 800 and some odd thousand buys on pay-per-view one time, 700 something another time. Okay, Crawford did 38,000 off the top of my head. Okay, it's apples and oranges, folks. Fury's Fury. He's a heavyweight. He brings in foreign TV money. You know how much Terrence Crawford's foreign TV money is?
Oh, it can't be much. Yeah,
0. Any foreign TV money Crawford comes in, Top Rank has a long-term deal with that country, and they just happen to be showing Crawford's fights. It's not because it's Terrence Crawford. With Fury, it's because of Fury. Big difference.
Oh, okay. Because I put them all in the same box. You know what I mean? As it pertains to, I think their job is to stay in business as long as they can. So I would ask you, as I look at the Gary Russell situation, and as I look at the Shakur Stevenson situation, I see it very similar. Like Al Heyman didn't give Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares, Carl Frampton, because he knew he had a West Coast allegiance there in terms of making money and creating some gates, right? And the same thing holds true on the other end with Shakur Stevenson. He could have beat Valdez, or just say challenged him at 26, and now they're at 30, and he's still
no. Valdez doesn't want to fight Shakur. He wants to fight the 26-pound champ moving up, Navarrete. Bob can't control that. That's not Bob. That's the fighter. So you're confusing issues, Fred. So let's not confuse issues.
Okay, so what will be the difference? So what will be on the other end? You think Leo Santa Cruz doesn't want the fight, or Abner Mares don't want the fight, or Carl Frampton don't want
with what? Gary Russell?
Yeah, with Gary Russell.
Oh, Gary Russell it fights once a year. And actually didn't fight last year at all. That's just Gary Russell. That's Al Heyman not having the money to pay Gary Russell to fight twice a year, $1.5 million when he can't sell a ticket.
Okay.
That's all that is. It's just economics.
What's your relationship with Cameron Duncan?
You want to know the truth?
No, I'd rather you lie to me.
Well, if I had a gun and it was legal to kill people, he'd be one of the top 3.
Why is that?
He stiffed me out of. He told me I was going to give me 2% years ago, back in 2000, year 2000, when he signed Kelly Pavlik, and I never heard from him again. I steered him to him, and I never got my 2%. He told me to call him. He couldn't close him with him and his father. I got on the phone with him, and he signed and never heard from him again. 2% of Kelly Pavlik would have been a lot of money, buddy.
So the reason why
the next time Cameron Duncan tells the truth, and it'll be a historic moment in American history.
Have you done business with him since?
No. I give a guy one opportunity. You screw me once, what am I, stupid?
Yeah. So
do I look like I'm a soft touch?
No, you remind me of a mafia guy. You know, you remind me, you got ties to the mafia. Like,
let's put it this way to you. I'm a German Jew that was born in America to a German father and mother, but I know a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Leave it like that. I know quality people.
I'm sure you do, by how successful you were in the underworld. You had to have some level of protection. That's why. Anyway,
yeah, and as Freeway said, when you went down, you didn't take nobody with you. So
yeah.
Neither did he. We have Freeway and I have so much in common. It's amazing.
Yeah. Talk about that. But before we do that, Fury versus Otto, Fury versus Tom, big numbers, right? Well,
who's Tom?
Tom Wallin. I mean, Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin.
Oh yeah, big numbers. Well, it didn't do big numbers in the United States because Fury was just getting going, but it did big money in foreign TV. You know, you got to remember something. Americans do not command foreign TV money. In other words, so when Floyd fought Mosley, it's a peanut. When Floyd fights Pacquiao, it's huge. Just one example. And that's one of the reasons why they were able to put Fury and Wilder together and risk the pay-per-view not being so great because they had foreign TV money. That's how the business works. That's economics 101 in boxing at the high level.
I get that. So, and just to get back to Cameron Duncan, why I brought him up is because he says Top Rank has a NBF when they're building fighters up, and that's why I brought up Shakur Stevenson and Gary Russell.
What's NBF?
No black fighters. Have you heard of that at Top Rank?
Not at all. They just signed every single Olympian that went to the Olympics. They're black, and one kid's Mexican American. They got like 15 black fighters, 16 black fighters under contract. Probably 25% of the roster is black fighters. Sure. And in the meantime, there's only 13% black people in America. Major League Baseball has 7.2% black Major League Baseball players on their roster last year. 7.2%. Top Rank's got 15 out of 60 fighters. That's 25%. The population's only 13%. What are they doing? What is Top Rank doing wrong?
No, the reason why I asked that question is because, in my opinion, if we just say forget race and forget that, just for the sake of this one question, I think that promoters extend their promotional career by not having one fighter as skilled like a Floyd Mayweather, as skilled as a Shakur Stevenson or Gary Russell, run through their whole promotional company, and shall we say, ice them out of big paydays and or building their resumes.
Well, that happened when Mike Tyson was around, when Don King had all those heavyweights. He was knocking guys out 4 times a year. Okay, so over 2 years, he was knocking out 8 guys. So that's true. It's a lot of truth to that back then. But remember, the fighters don't fight as often as they did then. They used to fight 3-4 times a year. They fight 2 times a year, or sometimes once every 9 months. Gary Russell's case hasn't fought in 2 years, and before that he only fights once a year. So I don't believe that's the case anymore. It is certain times, but at other times it's not. Depends on who the promoter is and who the fighters are that you're talking about. And depends what weight class too. Don't forget, it's easier to make great 115-pound fights than it is great heavyweight fights. There's more of them around, And if your guy loses, okay, you got 500,000. He didn't get $30 million. So a promoter can take a hit if his guy loses. You lose a $30 million fighter to a loss, it's going to hurt your bottom line. It could hurt your bottom line. Where a $500,000 fighter, if Bob has a 15-pound fighter and he loses the title, is not a big deal as a heavyweight, let's say, for instance. So you can make the smaller fights like Eddie Hearn's making at 115 are great fights because doesn't matter who wins and loses.
Gotcha. So
come on, keep going now. Don't get soft on me here, Fred.
No, no, I'm just interested in your perspective. Do you think that it's intentional that Bob Arum and Al Heyman stays on separate sides of the seat and do business separately? Is that their own personal goals because they want to stay?
No, I think Al Heyman has a superiority complex. He doesn't want anybody to outthink him, and his track record against Bob and Top Rank has a record of it is 4 wins and 19 losses.
Since when?
Since Al Heyman came in the business.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like way. Okay. So, give us Al Heyman's profile since none of us have met him. I mean, I'll say it later. But who is Al Heyman like without your emotions? Who is Al Heyman? If you could describe him.
I'm a businessman. I'm about business. I'm not emotional at all. Who's Al Heyman? Put it this way to you. Everybody that watches, most people that watch boxing think that Sam Watson's Al Heyman.
Sure.
Then they find out he's not Al Heyman. They say, well, where's Al Heyman? He doesn't go to the fights. Why doesn't he go to the fights? I'll tell you the reason he doesn't go to the fights. There's 5 reasons. Because he's going to get, people are waiting to serve lawsuits on him if he goes to the fights, he figures, because they figure he'll be at the fights, they'll be serving him with lawsuits. It's happened before, don't laugh. For all these fighters you hear from PBC that are happy and they're saying, thank you, Al Heyman, when they win, right? Those 30 fighters that you hear from. Yeah. What about the 220 fighters that are unhappy with Al, are in binding contracts? They never fight and they're unhappy, but they have clauses in their contract that you cannot say anything about anything to do with the networks, Al Heyman Enterprises, TGB, which is their promotional arm that's run and owned by Tom Brown. Mm-hmm. Okay, which is basically a logistics company, which I respect that. Does a great job. But the facts stand what they are. Okay, and he's messed up boxing. Okay, the fights aren't great anymore. Everybody's on Floyd mode, or the Floyd game plan. Well, everybody's not Floyd. That's the problem. So you got people that can't draw flies. They're not fighting anybody. Nobody's watching, and it's a trickle down effect in this sport. And with bad fights, so he puts out a bad product. He was giving Showtime bad fights. Now they're pretty good, and now Fox's fights are just terrible. It's ugly. They're so bad.
So what's the next move for PBC?
I don't know. Depends if he goes out and gets another investor. Who knows what he's going to do? I don't know. He's got a lot of lives. This guy's got 9 lives. He's used up a few of them so far, so we'll see what happens. He's a survivor. There's no question about that, but he's not good for boxing. That's the bottom line. He's been bad for boxing.
Do you think he spent $1 billion from the hedge fund, or the 900-something million?
Well, a lot of that is fees and interest and stuff like that, but he definitely blew up the $550 million. That went bye-bye. The original 550. If they put more money into it, I don't know, but I know it listed like 900,000 on the Waddell and Reed SEC federal filing report that you have to do every quarter. So I'm familiar with that, but I don't know where that exact figure came from, because the original money borrowed was $550 million.
Yeah, I got from the court documents, it's like 925 or 35 million total.
Well, that might be interest and penalties, who knows, or money that was due at a certain time that never came in. Who knows? I don't know.
Would you say that it's on par with how many times Bob Arum has been sued, Don King has been sued, Al Heyman's being sued? Is it Al
Heyman's not getting sued by the fighters. He's getting sued by corporations and production companies that had produced some of his fights. He's getting sued by, vendors of different types. He's not exactly getting sued by the fighters because he has those clauses in the contract that they can't publicly do anything against him. PBC, Al Heyman Enterprises, TGB, the networks. So it's all hush hush. So I can't say, but I will tell you that Bob Arum's been in business since 1966. Okay, now I don't have to count years for you, but I believe that's 56 years.
He's been in the game
Coming up here in March.
He's been in the game a long time.
And he's been on top of the game for 56 years. It's an amazing run. He's 90 years old now. I would say percentage-wise to the amount of years he's been in business compared to the other two fellows. Don started in 72. Heyman started in 2001. I would say that Bob Arum has the least amount of lawsuits compared to the most amount of business that's been done. Because remember, Don at his height only did 8, 10, 12 shows a year. Bob Arum does 66 shows some years, 70 shows, 78 shows. He does an amazing amount of shows. So you compare the amount of shows and the longevity of 56 years, I would say that Bob Arum has less lawsuits against him than either of the other two gentlemen.
Got it. So you in the LDBC. Elaborate. How would you profile the LDBC?
Well, what they don't understand is, and I do understand, they know about the sport. They know what they're watching.
Yes.
Okay. And I can't take that away from them. There's some real hardcore boxing fans.
Sure.
But then they try to argue the business with me. I'm in the business. This is what I do for 31 years.
Right.
I made a living at this. They've never made a dime. They're telling me about the business. I mean, it's comical. Okay. I admit, and I will agree that they know about the science of the game. I can see that. I've talked boxing with some of these guys. They're bright when it comes to the sport. But they need to separate the sport and the business, because I did that immediately when I came into the business. Matter of fact, I've said so. There's a distinct line between the sport and the business. And most people blur that line or don't realize there's a line. And there is. And I know the business and the sport. And then they try to tell me the business. Can you imagine? I mean, realistically, do you think I could run the Ford stamping plant? Nope. I was asked a question one day on a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what the question was. I'm gonna tell you what the answer was. Guy said to me, "Is Don King your hero?" I said, "Absolutely not." He says, "Well, what do you mean?" I says, "Why would a guy who I could do his job, if he told me I could be COO of his company or CEO, that I could do his job, and he knows I could. We've talked about it. You know who my hero is? The guy whose job I couldn't do. I couldn't work in a factory. I couldn't be a police officer. I couldn't be a fireman. Those are the people that I respect the most, the people that I couldn't do their jobs.
Right.
I can do Don's job. Okay, and Don knows I can. We've talked about it. So I told Don exactly what I just told you. And he said it was a great answer. And it's the truth. It's just the way I feel. So I respect the person's job I couldn't do. Right?
What's the tipping point? Because as it pertains to, because I'm great friends with many people in LDBC, and we've done events together and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get like the
tipping point was that I said that Fury would beat Wilder, and he did the first time. He just got robbed. Fury beat Wilder. He just got robbed, and you saw the results of the second time. And because I voted for I said the white man was going to win. I'm a racist. Okay, I'm not a racist. This is a business. I make my living here. Do you think that I would suit me being a white guy? I'm going to say, yeah, let's vote for the white guy. No, I'm going to pick the winner because my reputation is on the line. Does that make sense, Fred?
Yes. How about the Haymanites?
Same. They're all the same.
Oh, they all the same.
It's the same boat. The Earl Sexuals, the Wilderettes, but they got their own little favorites. But they're all the same when it comes down to it.
Why do
It
they
just
get
happened.
feminine names? Why the Wilderettes and the Earl Sexuals? Why the name so feminine? I'm just curious. Just curious.
Because that's what they are. They're all over their Johnsons. I
Uh-huh.
mean, realistically, I mean, it's unbelievable. This one guy, it's one guy that hits me up on Twitter all the time, uh, about Earl. I says, please, you're an Earl sexual. I says, please seek professional help, please.
Uh-huh. So Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence. Let's break that fight down.
Crawford beats him easy.
You think
Not even a contest.
Huh.
Not even wipes the floor with him.
Mm.
Before the accident, no. It would have been a 50. I would have favored Crawford because he can switch and he's got power in both hands. He throws perfect uppercuts. I would favor him 52 48.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. Earl can't pivot anymore. I saw it in the Danny Garcia fight. He can't pivot anymore. That game is over.
What percentage of Earl Spence is left, in your opinion, out of his 100 prior to the fight? I mean, prior to the accident.
70.
What? Wow. You think he lost 30% of himself from
Absolutely. And it's going to get worse now. It's going to get worse after the eye injury because he's going to be gun shy. Everybody that comes out of eye surgery is gun shy. It's a natural reaction when they don't fight often. If they fight often, then it's a different issue. They're not as gun shy.
Mm. And what's next for Wilder?
I don't know. They're talking about him and Andy Ruiz. I mean, I don't know. I would think that's a natural fight. That would do pay-per-view numbers.
Yeah, that would do well.
That would do well. That's a pay-per-view fight. Okay, that's a pay-per-view fight. And if he does it, I'll endorse it. If Heyman does something right, in my eyes, I endorse it. I'm not anti Al Heyman just because it's him. I just tell the truth when it's wrong. Well, I know these fights are going to be good or bad when I hear them. One night we were there was going to be fights on a Saturday night on a Fox show Heyman was doing. Top Rank didn't have a show that night. And my wife comes and she says to me, "Are we going to watch the fights tonight on Fox that you mentioned the other day, that I mentioned the other day?" I said, "No, we're going to. Those are lousy fights." She said, "Are you sure?" I said, "They're lousy." She goes, "How do you know?" I said, "Well, Heyman's promoting them." She goes, "They're bad. Let's go out to dinner." That's my wife. So there you go.
Who wins, Wilder or Ruiz?
I think Ruiz because I think he's got more left in the tank. I don't after those two hellacious beatings and knockouts he just suffered, especially this last one was a face plant. I don't think he's going to have a lot left. I just don't. I think he's got those thin legs and what's his name, strong on his feet. And I believe Ruiz got enough left to beat him, especially with Eddie Reynoso training him.
And what do you think? Oh, before I ask you that, you said your former friend Lou DiBella. Why former? You guys are in the New York area.
He screwed me out of $7,500 in 2010.
I respect the line that you, I'm the same way, because if I let you steal $3 from me, I know you're gonna steal $13 from me next time. But but feel free to speak upon that $7,500.
Screwed. I made a fight for him at HBO, Caballero versus Jason Litzow. Put Litzow in the fight. Lou told me pay him $75,000. I says, and my 10% on top to me. He goes, at $7,500, Lou. He goes, absolutely, get it done. Got it done. Never paid me. Denied he ever made the deal with me when the other promoter or the other fighter, Litzow, said, of course you did. You made the call to me. I did what I had to do on a Sunday night. But Lou, listen, Lou is a known fuckster.
Really?
That's all. Oh, people know it. People in the business know it. The public's got this great image of Lou DiBella. He's a scoundrel.
Elaborate.
He's a scoundrel. He's done it many times. He stiffed a poor guy out in Eddie Gonzalez out in California years ago at 4,500. He stiffs people out of. Here's what his rule of thumb is. He screwed Don King out of 7,700 on travel expenses for the Corey Spinks Jermaine Taylor fight. He screws people out of less than 10,000. So, and he does it. He adds it up. So it's like 120, 150,000 a year. He screws people out of. The reason why he keeps it under 10 so nobody sues him. It's too expensive to sue somebody in New York City unless it's an exorbitant amount of money. So he keeps it at 10,000 or under.
Okay, cool.
There's probably 15 under these days, but at the time it was 10,000 and under. I know that. An ex-employee told me that. So there you go.
So what do you think will happen with Kambosos?
I think the fight's Loma for him. I really think the fight's him and Loma.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't think Bill Haney will fight a live guy like that. I don't think he's got confidence that because he's on an easy ride with he's on a very easy ride with Eddie Hearn in the zone, and I don't think he's going to step out and do a fight like that where it's a risky fight. So he can make another $2 million or something. I don't think it's worth it. They just keep cruising along for what they're doing at the pace they're going at.
Who wins, Loma, Kambosos?
I would think that an edge to Loma. He's better on his feet. He maneuvers better. I think it was a combination of when he fought Teofimo, that Teofimo can't make the weight under full strength anymore. He was weak, had a lot of personal issues, all the delays, all the training camps. He was burnt out. I think it was a combination of all those things. I think it made Kambosos look a lot better than he really is.
Right.
He's a solid guy, don't get me wrong, but he's not what he's made out to be. And Loma is the real deal. We've proven that before. And Loma will fight anybody.
What's your thoughts on it? By the way, has Bob Arum ever done anything wrong?
Of course.
Okay, I just had to ask because it seems like
absolutely. He's no listen. George Foreman said it today. Bob's no saint, but he's not racist. That's the point.
Okay.
Okay, and he hasn't robbed fighters. If you had money coming, you were paid.
Oh, George Foreman tweeted that today?
No, he said it in an article that Kevin Iole wrote. Bob's no saint, but he's not a racist. He's this, he's that, all these great things. And he went over the list, a long list of things. So he did say Bob's no saint. Well, how many people are saints in boxing? Come on now.
I agree.
I got a checkered past. I'm good looking, but I got a checkered past.
WBC. What's your take on the WBC?
Well, I like Mauricio Suleiman, the president, a lot. Okay, he's a friend. I was very close to his father. Okay, loved his father dearly. But Mauricio makes the wrong decision 7 out of 10 times.
Oh, wow. 7 out of 10? So he shouldn't be in business.
No, because he does a good job. He just makes bad decisions on what to do on mandatories and what to do with this. And, these super champions or franchise champions, as one of the other podcasters calls it the French fries champion. He did the wrong thing with Devin Haney and Loma back then. He just doesn't make the right decisions.
Right.
They're not good. 7 out of 10 times he's wrong. Even though I like him, and even though I think he should be president, he just doesn't make the best decisions sometimes.
Right. You want to take some calls or some beam-ins from the fans?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I'll be here all night as long as my battery don't run out here.
Oh man, we got close to 1,000 people in here, so that's good.
Hold on. But we only got a few contributions. Where are these contributions? Send your 5s and 10s in, guys.
You better tell them.
Fred, come on now.
They're boxing fans. They're boxing fans. They want everything for free.
No, listen. I don't call. By the way, I don't call boxing fans.
I know you call them enthusiasts.
I call them enthusiasts because they're paying for the best boxing and everything, and for free. And NASCAR and Major League Baseball and football, everything's free. The hockey, you got to pay for boxing. So I give them the name enthusiast instead of fan. And I think that's very appropriate, don't you?
Yeah. I mean,
That's the only compliment I can give the LDBCers, calling them boxing enthusiasts instead of fans. Just thought I'd mention that.
The only compliment?
I'm just kidding you. No, I said, listen, I did say they know the sport.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, for sure.
Now, Fred, I told my wife that I was going to be on this show because my wife's a real boxing aficionado.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons I married her. You think I married her for good looks?
That's
okay. She's great looking. She's got great personality. She's a wonderful person. But somebody to be in my life, you got to love boxing, right?
Right. See, there we go, Mark West. But he's in every night. He's always supporting.
I like that. Here's a shooter.
He's always supporting. He's always.
You know what my wife said when she knew I was going to be on your show? She said to let you know.
Yes.
That I have black-eyed peas and cornbread 3 times a week, and I love it.
Okay, so you're regular.
I'm a regular.
Black-eyed peas will get you regular, dog. Black-eyed peas will get you regular, man. Oh,
okay, let me just tell you, I eat the lobster on a Saturday night. You know, I'll eat the certain things, but I have my black-eyed peas for lunch with cornbread 3 times a week. If I'm eating home. Now, in the summertime, I'm eating out. No, but in the wintertime, yes, when I'm at home.
Right.
Boxing Section TBS. Hello, Boxing Section.
What's going on? How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I gotta disagree with you, man, with these names, man. You know what I mean? I'm a Deontay Wilder fan. I'm a Earl Spence fan, and ain't nothing gay about your boy. But what I'll say is this:
nobody said gay. No, nobody mentioned the word gay, but you did. I didn't say anything about
gay. No. That was some soft ass names you trying to give us, and I can't stand for it. But I'll say this though, man. I'm glad you came on. You know what I mean? I enjoyed a lot of what you said about the Al Haymon situation. I think he needs to do a better job of giving us better fights. That's for damn sure.
Thank you.
But I will say Earl Spence is more than 70%. You know what I mean? And he does have a history of being gun shy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think this injury is going to stop him from.
He's never had an eye injury before. You're talking about a horse. You're talking about something that's totally unique to him now. Just to let you know, the proven history in boxing is when a guy comes back from eye surgery, he's gun shy for the first couple of fights, and they always put him in real soft touches because of it. He's going right in the lion's den with a good, solid guy in Ugas who just beat Pacquiao, but he's not a puncher. That's a good advantage. But he's quick. He's good on his feet. So it's going to be an interesting fight.
I mean, that's why you got to get him in the benefit of the doubt, though. He's going back. He's going back in there with a top fighter. He's not going in there with an average guy.
But wait, I don't know what your real name is, but let's call you Section. So Section, there's a reason for that. Because you can't pay him the amount of money that he wants for a fight if you're going to fight a bozo. That's why De La Hoya fought animals and tigers every time out, because he wanted big money every time he fought. So he had to fight the best. That's why. So if he wanted to get $4 million for a fight, okay, and fight Humpty Dumpty, a regular guy, okay, fine. But he wants to make $12.5 million. He's got to fight somebody. He's got to really fight somebody. That's how it works. So that's why he's fighting tough in his right back. He doesn't want to fight for $3 million. He's past that.
Okay, Kyle, we got a special guest in the building. Want to say hello to Mr. Glazer. What's up, Mr. Haney? Mr. Haney, Mr. Glazer, Mr. Glazer, Mr. Haney.
Hello, Mr. Haney. How are you?
So what's up? I was having a good night. So I heard the bullshit.
Bill, what's happening, baby?
About. Hey.
There's no bullshit. Listen, you've got Lou DiBella's phone number. Call him. Put your son in with Cambosis.
Well, listen, I done called Lou DiBella on several occasions, right? And if Lou DiBella, I mean, you just said all the kind of rotten shit that Lou DiBella did.
Oh, hey, Bill, he makes you look like a straight guy.
Okay, listen. No, I don't know what you mean by that. But anyway. Back to the matter at hand. What you did was you spoke on my character and what I might do or don't. Me and you have never met.
It's nothing to do with your character. You're protecting your fighter's interest. That's not but it's not on your character.
You don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? You don't know You can't come on here and speak. And that's the one thing about you old timers in boxing. You always try to fit everybody into the same pigeonhole. You see what I'm saying?
No,
Let
I'm
me
not.
tell you. Let me tell you something about black folks, about real black folks. And I'm talking about. I don't eat no motherfucking black eyed peas and cornbread every motherfucking week. I grew up on it. You see what I'm saying? Ain't nothing bad about it, but that don't justify my blackness, and that don't justify what my wife cooked. But back to the topic at hand. You saying cruise. One thing about black folks like me that come up out the ghetto, I can't cruise. I stay on the gas because I've been on my ass for so long. Now listen, I'm not sitting around here with the fighter that I got playing capping because I know how fast you can get kicked out the door. One thing about the millions that we check the money because we will fight anybody. You see what I'm saying? And the one thing that you know behind the scenes, once you start with that bullshit, picking, I'm not going to fight this person, I'm not going to fight that person.
Bill,
that's
why
the
would
first
you
way.
fight? Let me ask you a question, Bill. Your son can barely make 135 pounds. It's a struggle. Okay? You could have all the diet technicians. What?
That's not a struggle. Wait, hold on. Have you been there when we was cutting weight?
Okay. So everybody in boxing that's seen it, been around, they're all wrong. Okay, Bill.
No,
but
listen.
anyways,
wait,
I said,
hold on. Let's go back to 7. You said Mauricio makes the wrong decision 7 out of 10 times. Everybody that you done talked about thus far you've spoke about their character.
You got something's wrong. You're not coming through clear. Everybody else came through clear. You're not coming through clear. Speak up.
Okay, let me tell you again. Everyone that you've spoken about has a character flaw outside of Bob Arum, I think.
Bob's got flaws. Bob got flaws. George, what's his name said today? What's his name? George Foreman said today he's not a saint. I mean, we're not. None of us in boxing.
No, I'm saying, what about you? Or what is Bob to you?
Bob's nothing to me.
No, what I'm saying is he a saint to you or is he not a saint?
Well, he's treated me extremely well over the years, and so
is he a saint or not a saint?
Okay, I'm answering the question. Let me answer the question.
Okay.
He's treated me with respect. His staff has treated me with respect. His executives treated me with respect. So, from my point of view, he's done nothing wrong. But Don King's done nothing wrong to me either. They both paid me every dime I ever had coming, unlike Lou DiBella.
Now, get back to the matter at hand. You said that I wouldn't put Devin in with George Kambosos, but I would put him in with Lomachenko.
I didn't say that.
Well, you said that Mauricio Suleiman made a mess of the situation between Devin and
Sure he did.
Lomachenko.
Of course he made a mess of it.
So what kind of mess could you have made if we were never going to fight him?
He's got 2 champions in the division when there shouldn't be 2 champions. There's no reason for it. What's a franchise belt? He made up a belt.
So wait a minute, because you've been in boxing forever. If you have a fighter and the fighter is not going to fight, has no intention on fighting, right? Do you make him the world champion and make the other fighter the franchise champion if they were never
you strip it. You strip the guy who won't fight. You strip his ass.
So Lomachenko got stripped, correct?
No, he got awarded the franchise belt and gave you guys another belt, and people still look at him as the champion. If you put a poll up,
so what do you look at him as?
Bill, if you put a poll up,
stop speaking. See, when you're talking to me, I'm talking to you.
Well, I wasn't finished.
Talk to you, but you speaking and saying people, right? Did, in your opinion, is becoming the franchise champion getting stripped or not?
Okay, repeat the question.
Is getting stripped, is becoming the franchise champion, are you getting stripped for the WBC because you wouldn't fight, or are you
You're not being stripped. That's the problem. You're causing confusion in the marketplace. That's my problem.
What's your opinion on it?
It's wrong. He
So,
should. If
so
Lomachenko didn't want to fight you, I don't know what the facts were. Then he should have been stripped. If you didn't want to fight him and he was the champion, they should have went to the next guy in line. That's all. He's caused confusion in the
so
marketplace, as the
let me ask you.
WBA
So
has too.
let me ask you. Hold on. I'm going in the restaurant.
Is it a good one?
It ain't gonna be no cornbread and black eyed peas, probably.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said it's probably not gonna be cornbread and black eyed peas. All you, Mr. Haney and Mr. Glazer.
I'm good.
So
hold on. I gotta come back in, bro. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Can I come back in, Fred?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. You come back in.
Surprise guest. Hey, it works out that way sometimes in the shop. Hey, Mr. Glazer. So, do you think the WBC should just have the franchise, throw away the franchise belt, and just make?
It should be a franchise champion. For what?
So Devin should be. So do you consider Devin the 135-pound champion?
You know, that's a tough question. I would say if they were to propose Lomachenko right now and Devin, whoever refuse to fight should get their belt taken away. That's all. If you make the fight, then the best man wins. So if Lomachenko don't want to fight him, then he loses his franchise belt. The other guy's the full champ. If Devin doesn't want to fight him, then he loses his belt, and what's his name's the full champ. It's that simple.
So is Jamal Charlo a champion?
Which one is that? The 60-pounder?
Yeah, the 60-pounder.
No, who's got that belt? That's GGG.
No. Jamal Charlo has the WBC belt, and he is champion because Triple G moved up.
No.
No, not Triple G. Canelo. Thank you.
Yeah, no. He's a legitimate champ.
So why isn't Devin Haney legitimate? That's
because there's no franchise champion at 160.
It was though. It was Canelo.
But he moved up, so there is none. So he's the in sole possession now.
I'm confused. So I'm
so Kambosos goes up with the franchise belt.
Okay, so let's just say Kambosos. Let's say Kambosos is the champ right now.
Gotcha, Mr. Haney.
If he doesn't want to fight Devin Haney, it's an ordered fight. Let's say it's an ordered fight by Mauricio Suleiman. Gotcha. If Kambosos doesn't want to fight, then he should get stripped of that belt, and what's his name should get it. Devin Haney in full. If Devin Haney doesn't take the fight, then Kambosos should get it in full. It's that simple. Whoever blinks goes out. Simple. It's the old West. It's the old Wild West theory, right, guys? Hello.
No, but it's different on different streets though. Like the Wild West.
What you just said.
It's all y'all. I mean, I got
get in the restaurant first.
So what I huh? What'd you say? Mr.
Get in
Glazer?
the restaurant first.
Oh no, I'm cooking right now. I'm I don't need to eat right now. I work. Now listen, the one thing that you alluded to was the fact of that the cruise, that we were on cruise, and that we are not doing everything in our power for number 7. When you talk about a fight such as this with a George Kambosos, right, and Devin, right? Is that a fight that if you had Devin, would you be scared? Would you be scared of with George Kambosos? Is that a fight?
That's a fight. That's a fight. Your guy, your son, and Loma's a fight. Loma and Kambosos is a fight. They're all fights. They're all. Who knows who's going to win? You can flip coins here.
Okay, and what I'm saying is that you've been in the business for some time. You do not
31 years.
31 years. Where have you seen a fighter accidentally become world champion? On
Accidentally, many times.
Yeah.
Charles Martin, when he won the title, the guy broke his ankle. Louis Santana twice got disqualified. What's the name? Terry Boyce got
he was in the
disqualified.
fight,
Happens
right?
all the time. What's that? I'm sorry.
So what I'm saying by that is that it's someone pressuring to become a world champion. It's someone asking to become a world champion. I don't think that you become a world champion without asking the sanctioning body, without requesting to the sanctioning body that you want to fight. Now, Mauricio,
Okay.
we were on Mauricio about becoming world champion for a long time, Mr. Glazer, all the way from the tournament that we were in with Teofimo Lopez, who's a tough fighter, right? You had Zarab Lev, to me, that was a good fighter, right? You had Richard Comey in it, that was a good fighter. You had Luke Campbell. You had Luke Campbell, that was decent fighter, right? And then you had Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia, right? All these were fights that were potential fights for that are fights. That are fights. I don't know what you meant by when you said we're on cruise, right? Because there's nothing
You're on cruise.
about
You're
this
getting a couple
$1
million a fight, maybe $2.5 million a fight, fighting who you want. You're on cruise control. There's nothing wrong with that. I respect that.
No.
But if that's the case, why would you reach out and fight a risky fight?
Well, because we can't be on cruise, right? We're not in the opportunity. We don't have, for one, we don't have the complexion for the protection to be on cruise.
Oh,
right?
You're obviously getting it. You're obviously getting it.
Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn that must do, Excuse me?
You're obviously getting it. You're obviously getting it. You're fighting who you want to fight.
They're not fighting who they want to fight, though, because they want to fight Lomachenko and Kambosos.
No.
They don't have that fight yet.
It's the other way around. I mean, that he's fighting easy touch guys that Eddie's paying him well for. That's what I'm talking about.
But they don't want that, though.
No.
Okay.
No.
Then have Eddie make. Listen, we can end this conversation wonderfully. Okay, Eddie just got a couple of shows delayed because of the COVID. Call up Eddie, have him make Lou DiBella an offer. That's all.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. If we're making an offer to George Kambosos, right? We're bringing the money to the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that put us in the seat of control? Who then becomes, because you've been in it 31 years. If they're truly the A side, they're calling the shots. It's a great fight. Why isn't Lou making an offer to us?
Because Lou doesn't have any TV or streaming deal that Eddie does.
There we go.
And that's why he can make a deal. Arum can make a deal for Loma and Kambosos, where Lou can't make anybody an offer. They've got to make him offers.
So what does that make Devin Haney scared at?
Exactly.
I'm sorry?
So exactly. So
I didn't hear what you said.
No, I said exactly. No, I agree that Lou doesn't have TV. He doesn't have a way to offer us, right? But at the same time, listen, we're agreeing to go to Australia. We have a promoter in Eddie Hearn that we are, and DAZN, right? That we are asking them to asking DAZN to finance it, right? If we wanted an easy touch, we would not be trying to negotiate with.
Okay,
Kambosos.
let me say this to you. Okay, no offense, Bill. Talk is cheap. Let's see the fight happen. I'll be if you take this fight and go to Australia, I will be the first to congratulate you on this show and be rooting for your son. I like your son a lot. I heard he's one of the class. One guy around you guys told me he's one of the classiest people he's ever met. Okay, I will leave it like that. And I respect this person greatly. So I'm a Devin Haney fan, and I think you've missed that.
Let me ask you, have you heard that we are not trying to make the fight happen?
I didn't hear anything. Okay, Lou DiBella.
Okay.
Listen. If Lou DiBella told me the fight was made, okay, or the fight, or you guys made him an offer, I wouldn't believe him. I would listen to Eddie Hearn, okay, way before I listened to Lou DeBell. Lou DeBell is a known liar. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were on the show or not at that point, but I said the next time Lou DeBell tells the truth, it'll be an historic moment in American history. Hello? What happened? Is food's ready?
So I say that to say again, you haven't heard either way that we've been trying to make the fight or not make the fight, right? Correct.
I can't hear you. You said what? You're trying to make?
No,
you broke up.
I said you haven't heard one way or another. I said you haven't
No,
heard one way or another.
I haven't heard
make the fight or not make the fight.
No,
correct?
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard anything about Arum with Forloma and Cambosis. But somebody better get on the horn soon, because somebody's going to jump on the opportunity, because the kid's horny to fight. Number one, going to be horny to fight, and number two is, Arum's a fierce competitor with a checkbook. He's got that Disney money.
I just talked to Peter Kahn today. I talked to Jim Cambosos a few days ago. Eddie Hearn just talked to Lou DeBella day before yesterday, and everything is supposed to be moving forward.
That's fantastic. I hope it happens. I'll be rooting for your son.
Right. Which the only way that it doesn't happen is if Cambosos chooses Lomachenko.
Well, you left one other ingredient out. It's called COVID. They're quick to shut things down in Australia, just to let you know.
Yeah, well, they keep saying Australia. They're the ones saying Australia.
Yep.
So they're the ones saying Australia when the last time that they got some money was from DAZN, right? The big money that they got from DAZN, the biggest paydays that Lomachenko got has been with DAZN, right? With Corolla, Luke Campbell, right? The biggest money TMT Moden got has been with DAZN. The biggest money that Cambosos has gotten has been with DAZN. The biggest money that Haney has got has been with DAZN. The biggest money Ryan Garcia has gotten has been with DAZN. The biggest money Jojo Diaz has got has been with DAZN. So what do you mean?
What do I mean? What?
I'm saying so why wouldn't the fight happen in the United States then? They're the ones saying to go to Australia.
He said Gambosis has said publicly he's going to defend his title in Australia. He's going to force anybody to fight him to go there, unless he backs up on that, or DeBella turns it around, or Peter Kahn turns it around and gets him to come, to fight over here.
Well,
but
it seems
with
like
the champion,
it seems like all the turning. It seems like all the turning is happening on that side of the fence, not on our side of the fence.
Let's see the fight happen. Come back on the show. I'd love to be on again with you. When your son makes the fight, I'll congratulate you. I'll be cheering him on to win. Let's see the fight happen.
What promoter
Arum has a way of sticking his beak in there, and all of a sudden, making the best offer last, and all of a sudden they're fighting Lomachenko instead of you. And don't forget one thing: Lomachenko, he'll fight anywhere. We know that. That's a proven fact.
Where has he fought? Where? What do you mean?
He'll fight anywhere. He's fought all over the world as an amateur. He's fought in England a couple of times. He's fought everywhere.
What do you mean? Who did he fight? Who did he fight? Give me the times that you said he fought over somewhere and all that.
I think as a pro, I think he fought Corolla, and I think he fought Luke Campbell over there. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't
know. No, I think he fought Luke Campbell here. And I know that he fought Corolla here, I believe.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't.
Fred, check it out. Don't you got your producer or somebody can check that out?
I can, but I'd have to disconnect you guys.
No, I was talking to Fred.
He fought Corolla here because I didn't go. I had tickets to that fight. I didn't go.
Okay, where did he fight Luke Campbell? I think he fought Luke Campbell over there. I'm almost positive.
I think he fought Luke Campbell in London because I remember the press.
Right there, you go.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I think I'm at.
So when you say he'll go anywhere to fight,
Well, he's from the
you based it-
Ukraine. He fought 400 times all over the world. I mean, as an amateur, come on. I
so
mean, he'll go
yeah,
anywhere.
okay. So you're counting the amateur shit and saying that because I mean, as an amateur, if you want to talk about amateur, we went to Ukraine to fight. You talk about as an amateur, we went to the Dominican Republic to fight. Right?
I'm sure
we've been around the world
you
as
did.
well.
I'm positive you did.
But you absolutely put certainty on the fact that Lomachenko will go everywhere. But then when it came to Devin, that's why I came on there and said,
because he doesn't
no, brother,
because
put that
he
jacket
doesn't
on
have a
you
home
'cause
base.
don't
You have
know
a home
us.
base.
Huh?
You have a home base. He doesn't have a home base. He'll fight wherever Arum tells him to. You have a home base here in the United States. There's a big difference.
We're from Oakland, California. We've never fought at home.
You're still from the United States. You're still fighting your home country. Okay? He's not.
Well, let me ask you this though: is you can fight here, but when you're fighting with Bob Arum, right? It's the Bob Arum show, right? It's the Bob Arum show that controls the judges, or let me not say controls, has the professional experience to know what judges, what referees, what venue, what
Well, there's a guy in New York City. There's a guy in New York City. If you want protection, you can hire him.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you talk about Lomachenko, when you talk about Lomachenko being under the protection of Bob Arum here in the United States.
I didn't say he was under protection. You said he's under protection.
I'm telling you, I'm saying is that it doesn't make a difference. Bob Arum, he's been under the protection.
He's been protection. He's fought everybody. He's got two. He's fought everybody. He's got 2 losses. He's fought everybody. He's got 2 losses. Come on.
He ain't fought nobody that he's not fought nobody that Devin wouldn't beat.
Bill, make the fight. Let's come on here again. I'll congratulate the shit out of you.
Well, listen. Well, until the fight happens, then you shut the fuck up about it. Then you the one started talking about that we wouldn't fight. You start talking about where I wouldn't go. I'm trying to make the fight happen. Until
you've
been in here 30. Wait a minute, you've been in here 30. You've been in the business 31 years, so you should know if I'm not trying to make the fight happen. You should know more about it than to come out and say that I'm not.
Go there. Go there. I want you to go there so you can prove me wrong. I would love it. I want to see the fight.
Hey, listen, let me tell you this. We're going for the number 7, right? We see something in George Kambosos, right? We think that that's the kind of fight that we can go in his backyard and beat him based on the fighter that he is. If it was another kind of fighter, or if it was someone that we felt different than you feel, we feel like we can go in his backyard like fighters have did for the first time, whether it's been an Errol Spence or there's been fighters that have went over and had 50-50 fights or fights that maybe not have, and proved that who they were, right? And it just comes down to that. It comes down to Devin being 23. He's made the kind of money that a lot of young fighters wish that they can make, right? And it's time to piss or get off the pot.
Great. You've done a great job.
Or get off the pot.
You've done a great job.
What fighter did you start up from the amateurs that you made world champion?
Paul Spadafora.
Who? Paul Spadafora.
You think he was any good?
I like Paul. I like Paul Spadafora. He's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's not no Devin Haney for sure.
You don't think? The guy who Floyd wouldn't fight 3 times? Come on, please.
Hey, listen. Type in Devin Haney and Paul Spadafora right now, then.
What's that?
I said you can type in and Google. We saw Paul Spadafora before when he was young. When Devin was young, we got in the ring with Paul Spadafora.
He was old and shot. Please, Phil. The guy was in his prime in 99 to 2002 or 2002. Stop already.
Listen,
the guy
I'm
finished
saying
up, the guy finished up 49-1-1 and he was all screwed up. And he got out of jail.
I know who Paul Spadafora is, and I'm saying this, to me, he's not a Devin Haney.
Okay, sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
How many people know who Paul Spadafora is in the chat?
Paul Spanafore's been out. He hasn't been a champion in 20 years. This is since
I
2003.
just asked the people in the chat how many people know Paul Spatafora. That's all I asked.
Because you've got a big black population on this one you call it. He's a white fighter and hasn't been around in 19 years, and the big time because he was in and out of prison. Okay, come on,
Hey,
Bill.
Listen,
Bill, apples and oranges. Trust me.
I know you like to say
Floyd wouldn't fight him on a multitude of occasions, 3 times, twice as a lightweight. I'll leave it like that.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to speak on that. One thing that I'm going to say is that you're going to eat your words. We're going to go to Australia, beat the shit out of George Kambosos, and I'm gonna come back on this show. And I want you, don't hide from me. You come back and
I don't hide. Hey, Bill.
Okay.
Bill.
All right.
Bill.
All right.
I don't have to hide from anybody ever.
Okay.
Get that straight.
Okay. Well,
Get
one
that
thing
straight.
you're gonna do is you're gonna put respect on my name, and you're gonna put respect on Devin's name, especially about shit that you don't know nothing about.
2 things that you missed. I like Devin as a fighter, and everybody says he's a great kid, even though I've never met him. And I just said a little while ago, you've done a great job with your kid. What more respect do you want than that?
Listen, listen. If you don't know our business, okay, listen. Let me tell you this. I want to respect them. If you don't know our business, then if you know it, wait a minute. But if you know something that I don't know, tell the people. That's all. That's the only thing I'm saying. But if you
tell the people what?
Don't know.
I just said. I hope your son. I hope you get the opportunity, and I hope your son wins. I'm a Devin fan. You're missing the point.
Rick,
I said earlier. You've done a great job with your son.
Tell the people how hard this shit is to get a fight, to get to undisputed, to get a kid like that, right? To get a kid to this point, or to
yes, Peter Khan's done a great job. Absolutely, Peter Khan's done a great job.
It's for Kambosos. Peter Khan has done a great job. I talk to Peter all the time, right? I talk to Peter all the time, right? Mm-hmm. To get to this point, right? And when you hear and you're working as a manager, right? You're making these calls. You're doing all the shit that you can do, right? And then you hear somebody says, "Oh no, he's not gonna do that." Oh, come on, man. Listen, I feel slighted.
You feel what?
I feel like you're bullshitting me. I feel like that. I mean, you're bullshitting not me. You're bullshitting the people because you don't know shit about our business. But you said that you knew that I was on cruise control and that I wouldn't go to Australia.
I didn't say that. I said you are on cruise control. I said you've been fighting guys that you're supposed to be able to beat for a lot of money. Why step out of that lane is what I said. As long as you can make 135, stay there and do what you're doing. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, so what you're saying is that if you was in Bill's position, that's what you would be doing.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So now we got it. Okay. You're speaking for yourself. You're not speaking for me because we on that gas, we on the gas, and we on their ass. And that's period. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I just hope that when you get over there, you can make 135 pounds. It's a little different when you're flying and stuff like that and different altitude and stuff like that. You need to go over there a month in advance.
Hopefully, listen.
Yep. If you want some other good advice, that guy from New York City that you know, I'd be taking him with you if I was you.
Well, Allah knows best, brother. And listen, Allah knows best. You have a great night. I'm gonna do the best that I can, like I'm doing it. And good luck to you and happy 2022.
Thank you. You too, sir.
Hey, peace. Hey, Fred, thank you for letting me come to the barbershop. Thank you for the platform. Boxing section. Peace.
We town business. You know that.
Man, I'll holler at you. I'm going to eat. All right, peace.
Appreciate that. Man, it's shaking in the shop, man.
Come on.
We got the whole boxing community in here, Rick. We got the whole boxing community in here. Hey, by the way, do you want to say, because Leonard Ellaby is watching too, so anything you want to say to Leonard Ellaby?
Leonard, bro.
For sure he's watching. For sure he's watching, but go ahead.
I only have one thing to say. Okay? I dress respectfully. Leonard is the best dresser that I personally know. Okay? Great dresser.
Yeah. What is your You know I gotta ask, Fred. What's your position on sunglasses in the building?
I'm legally blind. I have to wear them. I have no depth perception. I'm in my house now, and I haven't been out all day, so my eyes are fine. But I actually wear them because I have no depth perception. I have the sunlight and natural light and unnatural light hurt my eyes real bad.
What?
If you go ahead, Fred.
No, I was gonna ask you. What's your take on this business acumen as it pertains to the movement of TMT Promotions? Him and Floyd.
I don't understand what the question is.
How is TMT doing to you?
I mean, until they put Tank up against the NFL football game, they were doing great. They were literally doing great. They had a nice turnout in Atlanta. They had a nice turnout in Baltimore. They did good, respectable pay-per-view numbers, and it just took a big shit when they tried to go up against the NFL on a Sunday in December. I mean, with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, which is big. The best quarterback in the league, at least one of the best quarterbacks in the league. One of the most exciting.
How would you rate Tank's opposition?
Oh, very poor. Very poor. Rolly's not nearly as good as Cruz, and Cruz gave him all he could handle, and Rolly ain't much. So I think his opposition has been very poor.
What's your take on the Rolly situation?
They're not filing any charges against him. He's free to fight. I said that in the beginning. And in America, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and you're making people guilty before innocent. And I thought it was in bad taste that they pulled the kid out of the fight. Once the kid signed for the fight, he should have been in the fight, unless he was literally arrested, okay, and literally put handcuffs on him. They didn't. There was just rumors. That's what they were. So if they had literally arrested him, indicted him, okay, then you pull him out of the fight. You don't pull him out of the fight on internet rumors and the street hearsay. I thought that was wrong. And I don't blame Leonard for that. That was probably a Showtime, Al Heyman call, probably. Al Heyman to P Showtime or something like that. I don't think that was a Leonard and Floyd call. I don't see that. Because actually it would have helped the promotion, actually. Probably would have helped the promotion, sell tickets, all these rumors and all this shit hitting the newspapers and stuff would have probably helped sell it.
Who should Tank fight next?
I don't know what weight class he's going to fight at. If he fights at 35, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I probably Rolly. He's acquitted. No, not acquitted. The charges were never filed. He's cleared of the charges. So I would say go back to Rolly.
What do you think of Floyd as a promoter?
He hasn't done well for too many fighters but himself. I mean, Bodu Jack was one, and now Tank. But other than that, who's done really well with Floyd? Nobody. So maybe it's a lack of talent. Maybe the fighters are the lack of talent rather than Floyd being the problem. But he's only in all these years he's been in business now, which is about 8 or 9, maybe 10. He's had what? Bodu Jack, and he had Mickey Bay for a fight, and then he has to had him give it up to tie the IBF 130-pound belt because they didn't like the mandatory or some kind of crazy shit. He had, I believe he had Ishe Smith, that lasted a fight or two, but he hasn't really built any attraction. So it takes the first one. So hopefully this is a springboard. But let me explain something to everybody.
Yes.
That people don't understand. Okay? And I will explain it. And Sections looks like a smart guy. There's something about Section that tells me he's really smart, but he looks like a smart guy and he listens good. So here's the story. Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum can make unification matches all day long because they want their fighter to win, but they have so many champions. If a guy lost, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change their bottom line. Right. The problem with T and with Floyd and Leonard is they've only got one cash cow. If that guy loses, they're in the shithouse. So they've got to keep that one cash cow going, and they can't put him in with the best fighters. That's why Hearn and Arum were able to make those big fights, okay, which were Hooker and Ramirez. There was a whole bunch of them, okay, off the top of my head. I can't remember. There was like 5 or 6 of them that they've made. Okay, now you got to remember something. What happened with Heyman, with Fury and Wilder? That was cherry picking gone wrong. Okay, they saw him come back from his 3-year hiatus, his sabbatical. He looked fat and sloppy in those 2 fights. They fought bums. So they said, oh, we're going to pick on this guy. This is easy pickings. He brings foreign TV money, and this is easy. And then they had options. No matter who won, they were going to go further. Well, look what happened. That was cherry picking gone wrong. So it wasn't Al Heyman reaching out to make a mega fight with Frank Warner or Bob Arum because he thought he was going to. And remember, Arum didn't have Fury in the first fight. Warren went to him between fights 1 and 2 and made the deal. And then they delayed it and they gave him 2 tune-up bouts, and the rest is history. So. Right. So Section, you understand what I was saying about TMT and Floyd, about how they only got one money maker? Hello?
Kyle.
Yeah. Do you think, why do you think they can't make another guy with the, you know what I mean? The way they built up Tank, why can't they build up another guy?
Because they don't, where's the talent coming from? They don't have any talent. Every time their fighters step up, they lose. They have a track record of it. They have this Juan Heraldez. He lost. I mean, all their guys keep losing. Tank's the only one that survives. Tank's a good fighter. There's no question about that. He should be fighting better fighters, but he can't, because if he loses, they're in the shithouse.
Do you like Richard Hitchens?
He's all right. He's not exciting. He's not a puncher, but he's a good, solid guy. But I believe he's 140, isn't he?
Yeah, 140 pounds.
Sure. He's 140, but he's a good fighter. He's solid. He's very solid.
Thomas Davis says Rick doesn't know about MBF. That's a shocker. No black fighters as it pertains to what?
Yeah, I didn't know. I'd never heard that, because not associated with Top Rank. I feel completely differently.
What do you think about Logan Paul saying that Floyd Mayweather and Showtime didn't pay him?
Something doesn't sound right there.
Okay.
In defense of Floyd, something doesn't sound right there.
Right.
Showtime, the lawyers for Logan Paul should have had Showtime pay him directly. Something doesn't sound right. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but if they did, the error, it was on Logan. I'm not saying Floyd didn't do it, but the error would have been on Logan Paul's attorney.
Right.
Right. Because why would he let Floyd handle their money? That would be ridiculous.
Can you explain how it works with fighter A, fighter B is fighting on Showtime? How does the money work?
Every fight's differently.
No, not the amount, but the logistics.
In other words, where the one fighter comes out of the star corner and he gets introduced, comes in the ring last, gets introduced last, and he's normally the promoted fighter.
I'm not talking about the money. Like how do they get the money from the network per fight?
Oh, the network, they don't pay the fighter. The network doesn't pay you on a per fight basis. They pay you on a per event basis. So they'll give you like $3 million to do the show, and you pay the fighters, and then you, between the gate and if you got sponsors or whatever revenue you produce, it's all yours. My share expenses.
Right. And we have a super chat question. Boss says, so Fury was a cherry pick for Wilder, but didn't Wilder try to fight AJ first for Undisputed?
No, we're talking about the first fight and the second fight. Okay, that was before the third fight, because there was a lot more money in the third fight with a first fight with Joshua than a third fight with Wilder. That's all. That's all.
All right, we got a question. All right, we're gonna go. What's up, DJ? Man,
you muted.
You're muted. Go ahead and ask the question. You're muted.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Man, listen, that whole narrative that Fury was a cherry pick going wrong, it really bothers me because nobody remembers when Deontay Wilder and Fury had that back and forth in the ring with each other back in 2016. Remember when Fury's like, I'll beat you like I did Klitschko, and Wilder, I'll baptize you? Nobody remembers that. See, to me, that's him answering a call out, unlike Anthony Joshua and unlike other heavyweights in the division. Nobody remembers when Joseph Parker was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder, then Eddie Hearn came in the night and stole the belt from him. Nobody remembers when Charles Martin was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder, and Eddie Hearn came and bought the belt in the middle of the night. So that whole cherry pick going wrong. He gave him 2 fights because Anthony Joshua wasn't going to give him a shot. He gave him 2 fights to get ready.
Sir, what is your first name? DJ? DJ.
You can call me by my initials. You can call me by my initials.
By what?
Yeah, DJ. We go with that one.
DJ.
Yeah.
Let me explain what I meant by that, okay?
Okay.
He looked shitty in his 2 comeback fights after not fighting 3 years. He had love handles all over him. Everything was bouncing around and everything else on Fury. He looked terrible. They went.
And that's Wilder's fight. That's Wilder's fault. How?
Sorry?
And that's Wilder's fault. How?
No, it's not. It wasn't Wilder's fault. It was Al Heyman and Shelley Finkel's fault.
Okay.
Wilder's not picking who he's fighting. Those geniuses are picking, and they picked wrong. And they had rematch clauses, and look what happened. Shattered dreams.
Right. You know, my guy fought. He lost. It is what it is. But Fury wasn't no fucking cherry pick. He answered a call out and gave him 2 fights to get ready.
No.
I don't care if he looked shitty in them 2 fights. He gave him 2 fights to get ready. Arguably, he knocked him out in that first fight.
You're not. Okay.
Yeah, and I told what's his name? I told the ref that to his face. I told him that count was long as hell, but you know it is what it is. I'm a fan. I'm salty about that fight.
Okay, let me explain. Let me explain to you what the cherry pick meant. The cherry pick meant Heyman. There was no deal from Heyman or Shelley Finkel to fight Fury. Okay, when it came back from the sabbatical of 3 years, they saw that he looked shitty in the 2 fights. That they said that's the guy we're fighting right there because we don't really have to pay him because the foreign TV money alone will basically pay for Fury. They can give him a little bit of a purse. They don't have to give him a big purse, which is true because he had so much foreign TV money that he got. So the point is, he fights. They have the draw. There's automatic rematch clause. And then Arum steps in and says, hey, the fight ain't big enough right now. Let's fight this guy twice in America. He tells Heyman. Heyman says, yes, okay. Because Heyman was worried because of the fact that that Fury did so well in the fight. So he went and fought Brazil and somebody else, too. I think he fought twice, too, Brazil and somebody else. In the meantime,
Luis Ortiz. But you remember in the meantime, in between time, Anthony Joshua got mopped up by Andy Ruiz. So just for the timeline.
You're confusing issues. This got nothing to do with it. We're talking about the WBC title and Fury and Wilder. This got nothing to do with this.
I'm with you. Okay. Go ahead.
So
I'm just putting together a timeline. I'm just putting together a timeline for you.
He fought twice. The other guy fought twice, and then they met up again. Fury knocks him out. Fury knocks him out in 7, and then he knocked him out in the 11th. Now you got shattered dreams. Now he's going to fight Andy Ruiz. I wouldn't go into a Ruiz fight. Okay.
Why not?
I wouldn't go into. I go into a really soft fight with a guy that can't punch. Whose guy's right in front of you, where he gets his confidence.
You mean the same Andy Ruiz who just got dropped by a 45-year-old Areola? The same Areola that Deontay Wilder beat the shit out of with one hand.
You don't know. Here's the problem. You don't know what Wilder's got left. He's on spindly legs, and now he could be totally shot.
We don't know what Andy Ruiz got left. Hell, he just got beat up by a 45-year-old Areola. We don't know what he got left.
Okay. The point is, if I had him, I would put him in a soft fight the first time back, see what he's got, and then go after Ruiz, stretch his career out at least another fight. Okay, because if he doesn't beat Ruiz, it's over. So I don't even want him to fight Dillian. I don't even want him to fight Andy Ruiz. I want him to peel Dillian White's scalp back before he retires. There's not enough money in the fight. Can't happen.
Yeah, it always comes back to money, don't it?
It's a business.
So does prostitution.
Good line. That was clever. I like that.
Lot of similarities there. A lot of similarities there. Think about that for a moment. Where are you from, DJ?
Alabama.
Oh my God, you still crying over Monday night?
No.
Oh man.
That's cute. That's cute.
Listen.
Somebody else got to win. Somebody else got to win sometime.
That was my late father-in-law's favorite team. He was from Alabama. My wife's father, and I root for Alabama every game, and I was disappointed they didn't win. So just to let you know, I'm around a lot of Georgia fans, so I was happy they finally got him one. I was happy for Kirby Smart. They finally got him one. Hell, it took you 15 years to beat us. That's it. I was happy for him. I was genuinely happy because they hadn't won. They hadn't won since my mother. Georgia hadn't won a national championship since my mother was like 11 years old. So I was happy for him. 1980. Yeah, so I was happy for him. Yeah. Yeah, so I was happy for him. Y'all got y'all one. Thing is, we'll be back next year. Will y'all? So absolutely.
It is what it is. Sorry about Michigan, by the way, fellas.
Appreciate you.
All right, D.
All right, let's out.
Thank you.
Birdman got a comment question for you. Put some respect on the LDBC. You don't like them because we don't fall for the BS and stand up for black fighters. LDBC for life.
I have no problem with black fighters. Crawford's one of my favorite fighters, even though despite what he did today. But I like that he put $20 in. That was impressive. What about Bob saying he prevented the Manny Bud fight because he was concerned about Manny's health when he was on the active fighter? Is that a conflict? No. Promoters don't have a fiduciary duty to a fighter. A manager does. So no, it's not a conflict.
Wait. What about no? He wants your response to Bob preventing that fight.
He's entitled to it. It's not. He says is that a conflict? I said no, it's not. Okay. A fighter, a promoter does not have a fiduciary duty to the fighter. Only a manager does, or an advisor, not a promoter.
Salute Fred
and
Kyle.
TBS. Hey Rick, what's TBS mean?
That's Kyle. That's why I just said Kyle. The boxing section.
Oh
yeah. By the way, he has a documentary out on a fighter. It just came out last week.
Who does?
He does. Kyle. He just did a documentary. Yeah, he just did a documentary.
I need you for my next project though.
The B side.
What's that?
It's called the B side. So we're talking about the business side of the boxing on the B side.
Kyle, here's what you do. Easy way to do this. Fred's got my number.
Yeah, I
get it from Fred, and we'll go from there. No problem. I'm glad to help you out. How's that?
Yeah, he's easy to deal with too.
You're actually very impressive. I've been very impressed by your demeanor, actually.
Yeah, Kyle is he's amazing. He's done some great work.
I got 29% left on the phone. Let's see if we can get another 33 minutes to 1:30 so we can be on for 3 hours. Come on.
Okay, we go over 3 hours. Okay, salute to by the way, I would be reluctant to say when a white person says to a black person when they say I've been very impressed with your demeanor. Just because I'm a college graduate and that like perks my ears.
No,
I know you don't mean nothing by it.
No, what I mean by that is he listens great.
I know you didn't mean nothing by it. But I'm still talking to about 5,000 to 7,000 people though. You get what I'm saying? So that's why. Okay, just so you know. And why Willis?
He's impressive.
Yeah,
period.
I agree. Salute Fred and Kyle. Hey Rick, what do you think of all the excuses Teofimo Lopez and his father made after the loss to Kambosos?
My famous line, if my mother had balls, she'd be my father. Excuses are shit. The bottom line, the motherfucker lost. The bottom line. What can you say?
What do you think of the dad?
It's fucking wacky. What the fuck are you supposed to think? The guy's completely off the wall. You hear some of the shit he says? Come on now.
Substance
Please.
substance abuse, yes or no? You think?
I have no idea. That I
Okay.
don't know.
Now,
I got a better shot that he's crazy than substance abuse. I just think he's one of those guys that should be medicated.
Paul Spatafor, you said I had an opportunity to spend about an hour with Paul Spatafor, the only time that I've ever talked to him. And he talked about what you talked about with Floyd. Did they spar at all as well?
Yeah, they've sparred.
Yeah, they sparred. Yeah.
But I will say this: there's a disclaimer. Floyd was in his third week of training, and what's his name was in his second last week of training for a fight. So he was at a higher level, but also remember that he completely got played with. It's on YouTube. Go look for it. It's on YouTube. Jesse Reed was working with what's his name at the time, and Roger was working with Floyd.
Who got played?
One was a 130-pound champ, and one was 35-pound champ. Floyd was WBC 35-pound champ, and the other guy was IBF 135-pound champ.
So, take us into the negotiations. You said 3 times. Bob Arum is his promoter, correct?
Well, yes. No, the first 2 times Bob Arum was promoter. The last time, of course, Floyd was promoted himself. And the first 2 times was real legit because Arum was involved. The last time was this guy that's a friend of Mayweather's, is Tommy Smalls. He put Mayweather on the phone with Mike Eakery, Spatafor's promoter, blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. But the first 2 times were legit. That Arum wanted to make for the unified IBF and WBC titles, and it went along so far in the negotiation when Floyd said no, that Mike Eakery put in his other fighter Victoriano Sosa, who had lost to Spatafor. He put him in with Bob gave him the fight to fight Floyd instead as a consolation prize.
So you obviously think Paul Spatafor would have beat Floyd Mayweather.
I don't know who would have won. It would have been an even fight.
Yeah. What do you make of Floyd Mayweather's career?
I also want to tell you something else.
Yes.
Floyd was not a great lightweight. Look at his fights. Castillo, he lost. He legitimately, you could say, he lost the 1 fight. Okay. He struggled with Sosa. Sosa get 1 rounds against him. He wasn't a great lightweight. He was a great 130. He was a great 40. He was a great 47. He was not a great 35. Look at his record.
I don't want to spend the last 33 minutes debating Floyd. He ended up being 50-0. And
no. I'm not saying he's not great. Whoa. I said he's great 30, great 40, and great 47. He was not a great 35-pounder. That's simple.
I thought. So obviously Shane Mosley, you think, beats him at 35?
Yes. If they would have crossed paths at 35, Floyd, Shane would have beat him. Yeah, because Shane would have beaten Jose Luis Castillo easy. Yeah.
Right. LV Slugger said Bud played cards right. Stay quiet while certain EJ fans laugh at the things Bob had to say about Bud. And Bud moved like a real G and stayed quiet. He has a good case against Bob while remaining active.
He doesn't have shit. You'll see.
So what's the end result of that case?
Nothing. A big nothing.
Wow. How expensive?
No settlements or nothing?
I don't know why Arum would make a settlement. Now, if there's another issue to the case, he said he was shorted a fight in 2019. If that's the case, then he may owe him for that fight, but he doesn't owe him for anything for the racism or, quote, holding his career back and all this other wacky shit.
What do you think? Why do you think Don King and Al Heyman haven't worked together?
Because their paths really didn't cross. Don was at the tail end of his career, and Al was just coming up. Remember, one man's 90 years old. when Al Heyman came along as in 2015 with the new company. That's 6.5 years ago. Friggin' Don was what, 93, 83, 84 years old. I mean, they did the two what was it, the two Wilder and Sturvane fights together.
Yeah.
That's all Don had. Don didn't have a lot of bullets at that point.
Sure. What did you make of Tim Smith? Comments, yes.
His comments?
Yeah.
If he was my communications director, I'd be out of business. That was like every time he opened up his mouth, he put his foot in his mouth. Said
agree.
the fans are stealing. What's that?
I agree. Like
the fans are still not going to pay for Spence and Crawford. The fans are stealing the pay-per-view. He said that they don't have the money to do the fight. We can't afford it. We don't want to insult him with an offer. Make the fucking offer. Says what do they care? What do they care about fighting some other free agent that they're not? Come on, it's ridiculous. Please, he opened up his mouth every time he talked. He put his foot in his mouth. The guy needed 8 feet.
Do you think that he is echoing Al Heyman's sentiments or his independent?
If he is, it was the dumbest thing I ever heard. And Al doesn't talk, and he's a Harvard business graduate. So I hope I hope that didn't come from Heyman. Jesus Christ.
What do you?
This is how I would stop you want to know how I would stop the piracy on the pay-per-view?
How?
Go to closed circuit.
Yeah, I heard you say that. Yeah, you said go to closed circuit on Coach Malachi Williams' show. I did see that.
Go to closed circuit.
You know what I also thought too was he devalued Earl Spence. I thought he did. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Sure he did. Mm-hmm. Of course he did, because he's saying, "Oh, we can't afford the fight." Well, your guy's not a draw on pay-per-view, and neither is the other guy. Okay, I mean, everybody thought, all these LDBCers, the Earl sexuals, all these people. Okay, the Haymanites, they all thought as soon as what's his name went, and he's away from Arum, we're going to get this fight. This fight's not happening. Earl doesn't want to fight him. Everything else is a smokescreen. They're afraid to make Crawford the offer because Crawford might jump on it for short money because he knows he'd win. Because he knows Earl's depreciated now. He's regressed.
What happened? We got some room for you to elaborate, but what happens with Terrence Crawford's career? I know I asked you earlier, but does he? I know you say he's not a draw, but does he?
No, I didn't say it wasn't a draw. He's not a draw on pay-per-view. His numbers on regular ESPN and ESPN Plus have been great. Mm-hmm. Okay, he does great draws in Omaha, but the problem is you can't put a star fight on Omaha because the star fighter is not going to go there.
So, in your greatest guesstimation, what happens with Terrence Crawford's career moving forward?
I think he needs to drop this lawsuit, come to his senses, and go fight Josh Taylor and pick up millions of dollars and win another fight, and keep going. Now he has no. Listen, he's really screwed. Here's why. Ready?
Yes.
If Spence wins against Ugas, he's not fighting what's his name. Okay, he's not fighting Crawford. If Ugas wins, what's his name's going to make him and Thurman. If Thurman wins, if Barros wins, he'll make Barros and Barros and Ugas. Where's the room for? Why is anyone going to pay Spence? Crawford $5-6 million? They're not going to. See, if I was him, this is what I would have done. I would have stayed with Top Rank, and I would have restructured a deal and taken a little less per fight and fought 3 times a year instead of twice. That's what I would have done.
I actually think all of them should do that.
Well, okay, but that was I was saying this for him in particular because you asked me about Spence.
Yeah, like I think a lot of these fighters need to do it. Like especially the PBC fighters. I think they look like Jamal Charlo. He's sitting waiting for one lump sum. I think he needs to fight once a lot more. I mean, so many fighters, man. I mean, obviously,
It's amazing they're twins. One's got balls down to his ankles, and the one don't have the nuts he's born with.
What do you think of
Which
Jamal?
one?
Jamal.
Oh, the 54-pounder's got balls. The 60-pounder don't have no balls.
What do you think of Derek James as a trainer?
Very good.
Very good, right? Very good.
Very good trainer.
What's your take on Jamal Charlo's career?
Which one is that? The 60?
160-pounder.
Yeah, I get the pronunciations confused.
That's fine.
What do I think of his career? It's a dud. He was a very, very good junior middleweight, and he's been a lousy middleweight champion.
How about Triple G?
Excellent career.
I think he's a fraud, man.
What's that?
I think Triple G's a fraud.
No, he's not a fraud. He's not a fraud.
You don't think he stole some money? No
What?
such thing, obviously. I understand where you're going to go with that.
Do you think he beat Derevchenko?
Oh, it was even. I would give a slight edge to GGG, but it was pretty close. Yeah, very close. Good fight.
Who beats Canelo?
Nobody right now. The guy who gives him the best fight, okay, is at 68 is Benavides, and the guy who gives him the best fight at 168 is Peterbiev, obviously.
Oh, I don't think no one. He's not fighting no Beterbiev at 75, man. You know that would.
No, I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying that would be the best fight for him at that weight.
How you feel about Jerron Ennis?
Sensational. Great. Gonna be great. Listen, there's two things we don't know about him. We don't know what happens when you hit him on the chin, and we don't know what happens if he's behind in a fight. If he panics or he's got the gumption to get out of a mess. We don't know that yet because those are character issues, right? That's a character issue. And we don't know if he's got a good chin because he's never been hit. But what I see, fantastic.
Do you think Earl Spence beats Ugas?
Depends what Earl's got left, and the judges are going to be in favor of Spence. Let's face it, but Ugas can beat him, no question about that. Whether he wins or not, if it gets a decision, is a different issue, but he can beat him.
And Keith Thurman, thoughts on Keith Thurman?
Very soft. Yesterday's news, the back nine, and I think Barrios has enough to put him in the clubhouse permanently.
We agree on something.
You think? Go ahead, Kyle.
Jesus.
I hate Keith. Listen, I really hate Keith Thurman. I really don't like that guy. That's one fighter. Him and Sean Porter's outfits. Those two things in boxing, I just can't stand. Keith Thurman, he's the worst because now all of a sudden he wants to fight everybody, but when it was his time to fight, he didn't want to fight anyone. And now he needs 8 months to fight Terrence Crawford, but now he can fight Mario Barrios.
There won't be enough money to make the fight. What's the difference? Imagine Thurman asked Arum $10 million. And everybody says, well, why didn't Arum make him a counteroffer? Because it was worth $3 to $3.5 million. What do you offer him? If he came in with 5, then you could offer him 3.5. Okay, you may have a deal. When you're at $10 million, you're saying, hey, I don't want this fight. Okay, that you're forcing them to say no to you because you don't want the fight. You're pricing yourself out of the fight. Is what you're doing.
Right. Dana Jones says David Morrell's KOs Canelo in 8 after Benavidez also gets KO'd as well.
I don't understand what that means. I'm missing something here.
He believes David Morrell beats Canelo and David Benavidez.
Not a prayer.
You don't think so? So you think he's stage 2? You don't like David Morrell? You don't?
Yeah, but he's 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Canelo will be long gone by then. Canelo ain't going to stick around, 5 more years for him.
Right. How about David Benavidez versus Canelo?
Benavidez gets stopped late in the fight, gets ground down.
Really?
He's too tall. He's too tall, and he's got to keep his hands up, and he's going to get hit with wicked body shots.
Wicked. Canelo beats him, huh?
Not even a question.
What do you make of the Paul brothers in boxing?
They're fun. They're frauds. Frauds are fun.
Frauds are fun. How about Carissa Shields? What's your
A nasty, nasty woman that
mm.
people love to hate her. I mean, the things she says, it's embarrassing to mankind.
Oh, wait. Really? Explain. Elaborate.
Just everything. Everything comes out of her mouth. She's a bad mouthing the fighters he's supposed to fight. She's nasty because she doesn't get a fight. Everybody hates her. You know, she acts like everybody hates her. I mean, come on, give it up. Stick to fighting.
Really? You actually?
What's that?
You actually think that? Wait, well, I'll get to this. LV Slugger. Bud doesn't have to fight Taylor on ES. Wait a minute. Bud doesn't have to fight Taylor on ESPN. Hashtag.
Why not? Who's going to come up with the money?
You're right.
Who's coming up with the money? You know, okay, listen, I'm keeping you guys on. I got to go in the other room and put it in the charger. So please bear with me for a minute, okay? I'm going to be talking, but I'm going to be moving here.
No, that's fine. So
we got 15 minutes to go, and I want to use every minute of those 15 minutes to go.
Carissa Shields is nasty. You got to articulate that because we got a lot of.
She just knows everything about her. How about the guy when her half brother beat the poor James Bashir up, and she didn't take the blame. Never apologized. She denied she was related to the guy. I mean, everything. They were hiding the kid out. I mean, come on, please. You know, live up to your mistakes, man. I've lived up to my mistakes my whole life. But I haven't made a lot of them.
You made some big ones. One might say.
I made them big. They were real big, but I haven't made a lot of them.
So Carissa Shields, how about her as a fighter?
She's good. She's boring. She can't punch. She makes methodical fights, but she's a good fighter. She's definitely one of the best fighters in the world. Not even a question about that.
What female fighter would you want to see?
None of them. I don't like female boxing. I don't even vote on them at the Hall of Fame. I'm an elector at the Hall of Fame in Canastota. I vote on modern boxing. I vote on observers, and I vote on non-participants. I don't vote on old timers. I don't vote on pioneers, and I don't vote on women. I have no expertise in those areas.
Wow. So, what's your take on these American women going overseas to get contracts with Eddie Hearn? And
I think it's great. Eddie wants to spend his money on women boxing. It's great. It's a good filler for shows because it doesn't have to pay them when he has to pay men, and they do make exciting fights. So you know they some are lack in defense, and some of them are more aggressive than men because they have nothing to lose. You know, so they go in there and they wail on each other. It's great. It's fun, you know. But like I said about the Paul brothers, frauds are fun. It's fun boxing, you know. But I want to watch boxing. I want to watch the best fight the best, or I want to watch a kid on the way up fighting a solid competitive fight and learning something from it. Those are the fights I want to watch.
Why haven't Carissa Shields has been very vocal about Al Heyman not signing female fighters? Why is that, you think?
Why he is not signing female fighters? There's no money in it, unless you're putting asses in the seats like they do in England. They're not going to put asses in the seats for women fighters in the United States. So I can understand why Eddie's doing it because it's a cheap filler for him. Heyman's already got 250 fighters. What does he need a bunch of females for?
And
Arum's only got one female fighter,
Meyer, whatever.
Yeah.
Meyer.
Yeah.
What? And you're working with Frank Warren, correct?
No, I'm not anymore. His son and I had differences in how to do things and stuff, and you know he's the owner's son, the boss's son. So I said, let me please go on my merry way. So that didn't last too long, but I still have a working relationship with the Warrens and stuff like that. I'm proud of, but it just I wouldn't let George Warren be my boss. I'll give you that clue.
And what's your take on your understanding of Fox putting money in the PBC as it pertains because Luis Ortiz and Charles Martin was on pay-per-view? So
I don't know. I don't know what their internal workings are, those deals, but it doesn't really look too impressive to me. That's for sure. I mean, the numbers are doing a pay-per-view. Fox can't be too happy. Let's put it that way to you.
What do you make?
How could they be?
Right. It's all about ratings. That's yes, it's definitely all about ratings. How about Steven? Have you have a relationship with Steven Espinoza?
He hates me.
Why?
I called him out on the Floyd pay-per-view numbers when he said that him and
Berto?
Yeah, Burrow did horrible pay-per-view. It did great, and I knew it did horrible. It did like really, really bad, like under 400,000. He said it did, I don't know, broke 1 million or some crazy figure. There wasn't even reason. It wasn't even reality. So, he's not a fan of mine. There's no question about that. But he knows I know my business.
Okay.
So
Thomas Davis, appreciate you. Thoughts on Valdez Robinson decision and Valdez statue?
Well, Valdez is going to end up fighting the 126-pound champ Navarrete, moving up. What did I think of the decision? It was close. I thought Valdez won, but it was very close. No question about that.
And what's your take on him being able to fight with being on drinking herbal tea?
Well, the problem was that under the VADA rules, okay, the WADA rules that was legal, and that the WBC uses, but under the VADA rules that they were using, it's illegal. So there was a big conflict there, and they did the right thing. So that's the story there.
What's cheating story in boxing that you've seen?
The biggest cheating?
Yeah, cheating. Like whether it's steroids, whether it's scorecard.
It'd have to be the Billy Collins Louis Resto fight in June 16th, 1983, on the Duran Moore undercard.
Top rank. That was a top rank card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awful.
But that was their fighter, Billy Collins. They had big hopes for him. They were going to do shows in Nashville around him.
Wow.
That was a real heartbreaker because Bob really liked that kid and his father. And the kid killed himself, got drunk, killed himself right after because he couldn't fight no more. And the father just died a year or two ago, and he was never the same. The father, he literally lost his life when his kid lost his life. He just lived a lot longer. Come on, we got 9 minutes to go. Come on, hit me with some hard ones. You know what, Fred?
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
You haven't hit me with any hard ones yet. You don't want these people calling you an Uncle Tom, and I might start calling you Uncle Tom.
No, I don't mind. Truth be told, I'm already Uncle Tom to many of these people.
Oh my God, terrible thing.
And I think when we go back and watch this interview, it's going to be a great deal of information. And moving forward in 2022, man, I can't win. I told Kyle last night, on his platform, he just celebrated 2 years on his platform, that I come on every night knowing 60% of the people aren't gonna like me.
Listen.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. You guys will really like. Ready? My buddy Brad Goodman, he's the matchmaker at Top Rank.
Yeah,
okay, him and Berb Strampler. Okay. Brad said to me something once, this guy hates you, that guy hates you. I says, Brad, you don't understand. I love when people hate me. Mm-hmm. It's the greatest feeling in the world. Think about that.
You're like a heel in wrestling.
Sort of.
Yeah. And I
only have one thing to say.
Yes.
The people I do business with think the world of me, and my wife loves me. That's what counts. My family loves me, well, sometimes, but everybody I do business with respects me. That to me is very important. Respect is more important than love. That came out of the Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale, yeah.
Now listen, you haven't asked me many questions about Freeway Rick Ross, which you're from LA.
That's where I was going.
Come on.
I have it in my notes. If she doesn't reach over and open the door, right?
One of the great movies of all, most underrated movie ever.
Yeah, I love Bronx
There's
Tale.
so many lessons
Love
learned from that movie. It's
Yeah,
incredible for young people.
yeah, it's a hell. Now, see, I go hard on everybody. The reason why Bob and I have a good relationship because I pulled him to the side and I said, "Don't you ever fucking talk to me like that again." Simple, because
Listen,
he went off on me, and I said, "Bob, I understand your." I was wet behind the ears. I was very young, and I says, "Bob, I says, everything you do, but I'm a man just like you. You can't." He did me like Mike Coppinger, but not on that level, right? But I said, "Bob, never again." Never again. And me and Bob has been cool ever since. I've disagreed with him. I've sat next to him on the bus, yelled at him, disagreed with him, disagreed with him, agreed with him. And I mean, he called Bob. Me and Bob is so cool, for real, for real. He'll call me and be like, "Let's go." Like that's the
you,
relationship we have. And
you
now
want
I'm not
you
giving him
guys.
a pass or anything like that, but that's
Here's a funny story about Coppinger.
mhm.
Isn't really funny, but it's sort of cute. You'll like it. So when he moved from Marina Del Rey in L.A. and he moved to Miami Beach, I started hashtagging him a Miami Mike, hashtag Miami Mike on Twitter and on the text messages with buses calling him Miami Mike. So then when Arum called him, you little prick you, I
Uh-huh.
hashtag you little prick you. He even thought it was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. Bud don't need Top Rank. Can get Keith, Mikey, or EJ.
Who's putting up the money? Everybody's missing the point.
Mhm.
Spence won't fight him, and the other, who's going to put the money up?
Yeah.
Come on.
What's your take on? Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was going. You go ahead because mine gonna be a longer question.
What's your take on the Golden Boy and the Golden Boy PR person calling Al Heyman a nigga?
I don't know who that PR person was, but I think it's disgusting. And I would have fired the guy, or woman, whoever it was. I would have fired him immediately. They wouldn't have had a prayer.
Yeah,
Out the door. I would have locked the door on, taken your keys, locked the door, taken their cell phone from them. If it's Oscar's company cell phone, and I would have thrown them right out the door. Any, not just black people, anybody. You don't do that. Completely uncouth, classless, just awful. It doesn't matter the religion. It doesn't matter the color. It doesn't matter the ethnic background, the nationality. I mean, I get embarrassed when I say to people, I call people a retard. So I changed it to moron. I just call people, you're a retard. One time I said to a guy, and I normally to call them a retard because you're mentally challenged. I believe you're mentally challenged. He said, that's very polite, political correct. The guy says to me, I go, thank you, you moron. So there you go.
Kay wants to know, and then we'll end it on Kyle. Ask what really happened with Canelo and Andrade. What do you think happened?
Nothing happened. He doesn't mean nothing. What are you going to do? You got to get specialized sparring partners that run around the ring and flip the jab out that are left-handed. And he's a waste of time. It doesn't mean anything commercially. He brings nothing to the table.
Right.
Everybody else that he fights brings something to the table.
Right.
Plant brought a title, undefeated, unified champion. Everybody brings something to the table. He brings nothing to the table at all. There's no reason for that fight.
Go ahead, Kyle.
At 160, he had a belt, but how did the relationship with you and Freeway Rick Ross as it pertains to the promotional company, how did that come about?
Well, we're not a promotional, we're an advisory company. We're advising fighters. How did it start? I was introduced to him by Floyd Schofield Sr. And for the purpose that we were going to both work with the fighter. And the next thing I know is Freeway talked to me and said, you're my kind of guy. And we sat down for 3 days and we worked out a deal. And that was in late October. And we were supposed to get the promotional company off the ground, the advisory company off the ground called Team Freeway Boxing. And we were supposed to get it off the ground several weeks ago, but 2 weeks ago. But our publicist Mario Serrano got COVID, and we delayed it because of that till after the first of the year. We decided to hold it off because of the Mario had COVID, and I felt COVID was more important of an issue, and the holiday season would get lost. And we've made a big impact. We've been averaging. I think we did since last Thursday when it was announced. I think we've done like 12 interviews already. Tomorrow we have some more. We've done CBS LA. We've done all kinds of websites in England, United States. We're doing the Zone tomorrow. We're doing them all. So it's we're making the rounds. If you want Rick on your show, just ask me.
He needs to come on. He needs to come on.
Yeah. I go on with him normally because there's some of the tough boxing questions he won't be able to answer, and I will answer them. I'm the executive consultant for the company, and he's hired. He's in business. He's hired Mario Serrano's retained him. He's got a strength conditioning coach and a diet technician guru out of LA. It's worked with a lot of big name fighters. Rob Garcia, not Robert Garcia, the trainer. This is Rob Garcia. This is a different guy. He's hired a lawyer out of Miami. He's hired a PR person out of Mississippi or Alabama. They got a big internet company, and they did the website, and they're going to be the webmasters. And then he's got a woman out of Chicago that does miscellaneous, all the miscellaneous stuff, paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a well-oiled organization.
Okay,
the same way DAZN paid Mikey $7 million coming off a loss, but Eddie Hearn has already said that he has no place for Crawford. He has nobody to fight Crawford, so he's not interested in Crawford. He's already said so.
Do you think, even though they run their promotional companies different, do you think they're all the same though? Like as it pertains to the relationship between all fighters and all promoters?
No, it's completely different. They're all completely, they're different because the motives of the companies are different. Now we're over 3 hours now. We're going into 3 hours and 1 minute, so we keep going here. But anyways, let me explain.
All right, last
Top
question.
rank. Top rank. No, I have no problem with it. Top rank does it differently because they develop so many fighters from scratch into champions. So to give you an idea, I believe the number is 66, but I may be wrong. That since January of 2004. They've developed 64 world champions at top rank. Pretty impressive record, isn't it, guys?
No, that's pretty good. How much business do you and Top Rank do annually in terms of number of deals? Not money, but just in terms of number of deals.
Average year, maybe 6. See, the good thing about me, this is why this is the good thing about me. It costs nobody money to do business with me, the fighters, because I don't take from the fighters. So if the fighter gets $20,000 for a fight, the promoter's got to pay me $2,000 as an agent's fee. Okay, so if the fighter gets $25,000, I get $2,500. That's the first thing, and they don't pay me unless I deliver. The guy fights and everything goes good. Okay, now. The reason why I'm good that way is because I don't do business with a lot of business with one company. I'm spread out all over the world. Now, in the last full year of boxing, which you have to go by, you can't go by this year. I took wire transfers and checks from 45 different corporations around the boxing entities around the world. So there you go.
Do you think, my final question, this is my final question. Do you think that PBC from a logistical space, they have to fail because Al Heyman, if they become successful, he has to pay back the initial investment?
Okay,
back to Waddell and Reed.
Let me give you some mathematics.
Sure.
Let's not deal with the $900 and some odd million it says on the SEC thing. Let's just go by the cap of 550, the original cap.
Right.
You want to deal with that figure?
I'm with you. I'm right.
How old is Al Heyman? He's like 66 years old. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're in debt $550 million and you make $20 million a year, okay,
Mm-hmm.
That means that he's got to work 28 years to pay back $550 million at $20 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that PBC's making $20 million a year? There's not a prayer. Not a prayer. There's your answer. So Al, if you multiply 28, even if they do make 20 million a year. If you multiply it by 28, and Al Heyman is already 66. So you got so Al Heyman would be 98 or some 93 or some friggin' thing by the time this is paid off. So you guys are getting a clearer picture of this, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm getting a clearer picture. Who is profitable in boxing though?
Top Rank, Heyman, Golden Boy has good years and bad years, but overall they're profitable. Frank Warren is profitable. He has better years than others. MTK is very profitable. Mr. Honda Japan is very profitable.
So many of them. Did Golden Boy just release over 60 fighters in the last 2 years?
60?
Yeah.
Nah, probably not. It sounds awful high to me. Maybe 30.
30? Wow.
Maybe 30. But they remember some of them lose. There's reasons why they get rid of them.
Gotcha. Well, Rick, appreciate you coming into the barbershop. See, it was easier than you thought. Way easier than you thought, right?
Listen, were you happy with? Were you happy?
Yeah, I mean the boxing world is happy. We
had a big turnout.
Yeah, big turnout tonight.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad I was a part of it. When you guys want to reschedule, you guys let me know. First of all, second of all, you've got Fred. Please give Kyle my number. Kyle, the only thing you got to do is you got to start out everything with a text. The first calls, every time you call, it's got to be with a text. Rick, it's Kyle. It's Kyle from Fred's. And then I'll call you back as soon as I get off the phone. Okay. It's just that a lot of times I'm on a podcast, especially working with Freeway. I'm on podcasts an awful lot. He uses those podcasts like they're eating, like people eating tacos. I
actually would love for both of y'all next month sometime. Both of y'all come on next month.
You figure it out, and I'll advertise it on. I'll advertise it right here on Twitter and all that kind of happy good stuff, and we'll go from there. But yeah, especially you being from LA and everything else like that. He's a great guy. He's so humble and he's very intelligent, and you'll enjoy him on the show.
Appreciate you, man. We truly appreciate you staying up late. And go Patriots.
Please. Have fun. Kyle, give me a call like Saturday's good, okay?
I got you.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen. I had a great time. And the next time you see me on here, it'll be hopefully with Freeway, okay?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's knock it out.
Right.
Let's knock it out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good night.
All the time. Good night. Kyle?
Man, the documentary is heating up, my boy. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Always and forever, Big Fred. You know that. Hell of a show, man. Hell of a show. What's today? Today is
Wednesday.
And nobody dozed off, man.
we start earlier. We start at 7:30, so we can go into the late night. You know what I mean?
You know what I was afraid of. Is it didn't happen.
What's that?
I was afraid I was gonna miss the shows. You did what I'm saying, Fred? I was afraid that I was gonna miss the time slot because I got the kids and I work late. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
But the way it's been going, shit, it's the same shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going on late. So it's been working out.
But I mean, you'll be on by 11, so that'll be good. So it was a hell of a show. I appreciate Mr. Haney coming back. Bill Haney went back to back.
And that was, listen.
Yeah.
Fred, you did it listen. You've done it again, man.
No, we done it.
Think about
it. Everyone
that was Gary Russell all over again.
Oh yeah.
We just go back to that, man.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I mean, This is the only platform
Dude,
in
I
boxing.
can't get rid of this cough for nothing, dude.
Yeah, well, you gotta put something warm down your esophagus to get rid of that mucus, man.
Bro, I had the medicine bomb.
Yeah, well, you gotta move your body, man. You gotta go run, you gotta go sweat, you gotta go move.
I'm going hooping this weekend, though.
Okay, yeah, you got good form. You got good form. So yeah, but I know, yeah, always in favor. Yeah, I caught that. I was gonna say that too, but yeah, me and Kyle here every night, so there's no need to say pause.
Hey,
but
man,
but yeah,
listen, man, we was supposed to bring up the list
of what?
The greatest list of all time, Fred. The only list that matters.
I wanted to ask him about that too, and I forgot.
Yeah,
Look at
I was gonna ask him, but dude,
look at all these notes I got for this interview, man. Look at all.
The thing is, Fred, when you on a roll, dude, I kind of just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just in the cut, you know what I'm saying? Until like it's a pause. You know what I mean? When once you pause, then I kind of come through. But like you be asking some good ass questions, and I don't be wanting to get involved.
I got fans in here.
I'm glad you didn't beat me in earlier too.
I missed it. Why? What happened?
No, I'm just glad you didn't, because I'd have fucked up, because I'd have been talking a whole bunch more shit. I had to, I had to come in with my Earl Spence shit, man. Let them know what's going on.
They ain't gonna do much, man. Coming in with emotions with an interviewer, they ain't gonna do much. Shit, man. Get the answers out these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? We get them.
Man, listen.
Yeah.
The numbers that we're gonna be able to get, like, as far as
appreciate you.
Yeah, Fred, man. You be asking some fucking questions, my boy.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? You know how to preface them shits.
Yeah, I know how to
layer them motherfuckers up.
Yeah, I mean, I was a writer before I came on YouTube, so.
And you have no ego. See, that's the best thing about it. That's why the shit just goes like, because you don't mind if a motherfucker cut you off. You just go like,
yeah.
And then you allow the motherfucker to talk, but you still got the question that you want to ask the nigga. You got it like queued up and shit ready to go.
Look at all these notes. Like every guest. Notes. Follow-up question. What's next? I don't have an ego. I don't have an ego when it comes to interviewing people. I'll digress, take a back seat. You want to take control of the interview? Sure. And that's just my style,
Man,
I'm
excited, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's some interviewers who wants to take control of the interview, and that's fine. That's their interview style. I've never acted in any of my movies. I never wanted to be the star. That's why I don't combat my interview part. If they say I hate the LDBC, I'm gonna say why. I'm not gonna stop the interview and be like, "Fuck you." Nah, for what? That's not me. Nah, that's not. I want to know why. Why don't you like them? What's the characteristics? So give me details. So you know what I mean. So man. So yeah.
So I already sent you the picture, but I submitted them joints, man. So hopefully they get back to you, boy.
But I would have told you how to do it. You know what I mean? But you went on and did it without them. So, but it's cool.
Oh, you told me that you said submit the motherfuckers, so I just submitted it.
Yeah, that's cool. Congratulations.
Hey,
on
listen,
moving forward. Yeah.
I'm next Tuesday, I'm gonna submit some more. So tell me how to do that shit. I paid for the gold shit, so
yeah, the gold. So yeah, definitely you'll save money long term.
Yeah, I should just gave it to your ass to put on your your freeway shit.
Yeah, you could. I mean, but it would have been the same thing. You need the experience, and but it's cool. Congratulations on that as well. Yeah, this was a fun interview, man. He's I want to thank everybody for coming out and please share this interview. Feel free to clip it, use it as you please, man. I got a lot of information from Rick Glazer, from Malachi Williams, Coach Malachi. He interviewed him twice over the past month, and I listened to that interview. I always mess up his name. New Boxing Media Today, right? Is that it? New Boxing Media Today. I got a lot of information from him from his interview. So but yeah, thank you guys for coming out, man. Tomorrow we're gonna rock out and have a good time. And we got fans in here, Kyle. We got fans saying I'm gay. I guess I'm everything. I'm everything, dog. I'm everything. But I appreciate you making a whole Gmail account and supporting the channel, man. Thank you. Totally appreciate it. Don't lie.
That's a big deal. that
Yeah.
niggas really just take time out of their day
I love it.
to make an account just so they can control. That's, I mean,
man. It's
but Fred, you know what? Like we always say, big dog, keep your foot on these niggas' necks. Man, we ain't supervisors, nigga. We bosses. In the words of the great philosopher DB, Fredro, play the song, Fred.
Yeah, I totally appreciate y'all coming in here tonight. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Mamba. Thank you, Tony, Tone, Birdman, Javi, Brother Code, Alon. Thank you, Ryan G. I totally appreciate you. Mamba mentality, man. You know, I mean, we had a lot of new people in here tonight, man. Hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you, Blitzbone, Brent Jones, Antonio. Appreciate you. Mark West, thank you. Struggle Boxing, you know, Birdman, thank you, man. Only the one and only. Brent Jones, thank you. Blitz, Javi, Thomas, Respect My Tech, thank you. K Jones, Fred Hawthorne, homosexual, thank you, dog. Appreciate you. Birdman, D Hive. Boxiana, when you gonna be a guest? Let me give her a date right now.
Shout out to Boxiana, man. Goddamn.
Yeah, we gotta have her on. Oh, this is my new.
If y'all miss they show on Sunday nights, man, you stupid.
How's the 19th next week, Boxiana? How's the 19th next week, Boxiana? 9:30 Texas time at Black Fight Fans voice. I mean, Bill Haney's gonna be Bill Haney. I think Bill Haney represents his son well, man. He's gonna fight for him. He's the manager, right? Is Bill Haney the manager? Is that his title?
The president of the promotional company. Shit.
I'm in. Thank you. Gotcha. What date did I say? The 19th, right? For Boxiana, right? God, I'm getting old. Did I say the 19th, Boxiana? Damn. I'm so old. Man, what did I say? What date did I say, dog? Because I got, oh my God, I'm so retarded, dog. What date did I say? What date did I say? The 19th? Thank you. All right, Jared, 19th. We got Boxiana. Got you written down. Thank you, Boxiana. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna rock out. You said the 37th. All right, man. I love y'all, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, dog. Give back, give love.
Man, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah, it was a good show. It's a good show. Yeah.
Next Tuesday, I'm gonna get with you on that on that shit, talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be more productive with it.
Yeah, I got you.
There's a couple of them that I missed the deadline, man. The shit
They come back. They come back. Don't worry about it. Because you got a whole year. You'll be able to do it. You got to apply for next year.
Yeah. Hey, this next documentary finna be crazy, though. I ain't gonna lie.
It gets better and better. It gets better and better. Love y'all, man. I totally appreciate y'all, man. We going over for the after party. We going to the boxing section. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. I totally appreciate y'all, man. It's all love.